I think it's going to be unbelievable once it's finally set in stone, but it is going to be kind of heartbreaking knowing that the Chiefs are going to move away from Arrowhead and that side of like the Missouri side of Kansas City. And it's just a part of the old, professional sports.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, Jack Johnson hanging out with us on this Wednesday edition. Cynthia Freeland joins us an hour from now. Our final conversation with Cynthia of the NFL season. We'll catch up with Cynthia throughout the offseason from time to time. As the draft will be getting closer and closer, she has her latest mock draft out at NFL Network. We'll talk with her about that. Any takeaways from the Super Bowl specifically, things that this copycat league may look at and try to invest a little bit more in. We'll do that with Cynthia Freeland. Daniel Harms joins us in a couple of hours, coming up at noon. RGR Football, Bleacher Report, NFL Draft Scout, and a number of things that I want to talk about with Daniel Harms. I want to see what his takeaway as it relates specifically with the Chiefs from the Super Bowl. We'll talk here in the first hour about Travis Kelce and whether he's returning to the Kansas City Chiefs or not. Certainly it feels like he's going to be returning to the Kansas City Chiefs. We talked about this, once the season was over, or at least that Monday. There was a Monday where we had the conversation, and I posed the question here and said, is it better to have Travis return at whatever cost that may be, or is it better to rip the Band-Aid off and just simply move forward and say this is the next era of the Kansas City Chiefs? Pun intended, by the way, for Travis Kelce. We'll talk about that here in the first hour, but I also want to get Daniel Harms' thoughts on that as to what the Chiefs will do at tight end moving forward. Is it better to have a one-year deal with Travis where you're sort of holding on 1 year at a time, or find your next tight end this offseason? Or can you do both? We'll talk to Daniel Harms about that. I have found over the last few days a draft crush that is not a first-rounder, nor is he a second-rounder. He is not projected to be a third-rounder or a fourth-rounder. We'll talk to Daniel Harms about him because he falls right in line with something that I've been preaching about for the Kansas City Chiefs and what I think the personnel part of their decisions need to be this offseason. And oddly enough, at Bleacher Report, Daniel Harms was the one that wrote up the draft scout on him. And I was reading it, a few days ago because I was reading more about this guy. He played in the national championship game, and his name ain't Reuben Bain. And he didn't play for Miami. He is an offensive player, but a guy later in the draft. And so watching him in the national championship game, looking into things that I want the Chiefs to do, looking more and more into this guy, and I read the draft breakdown, and I'm going through it, and it's Daniel Harms. And I'm like, what are the freaking odds of that this guy is becoming my crush? And I already have a crush on Daniel. Like, what are the odds of that?
I honestly think it's pretty high. I think they at least 11%.
I was going to go 11.7%.
Okay.
11.67%. I also want to get Daniel's thoughts.
It's old now.
I know.
I think
but here's
it's
the
too
thing.
old
The
now,
more
man.
and more we do it, the more and more it gets old. And then they're like, enough. We are just so done with this thing. Let's hope. Let's hope the boo-boos are
Now people just want you to bark at bars. That's
what I've heard. That's what I've heard. There's a lot of barking at bars going on, There's a lot of Melvin Councils out there barking for numbers, apparently. Apparently that lady was barking up the wrong tree. That's an inside joke, everybody. Has to do with Sterling, though. I also want to get Daniel's thoughts on his favorite wide receiver in the draft, because I have a favorite wide receiver. It's not the name that keeps coming up with the Kansas City Chiefs as those selecting at number 9. So we'll talk about that as well, and if he has a potential combine mover. Not somebody that can move a combine, although it might be somebody that can move a combine out in the fields.
John Deere.
That's right. She sent some John Deere letter or something, said I wasn't paying attention. I don't know. I wasn't really listening. If there is a potential mover up the draft board in the first round at the combine, I have an idea of a name. We'll see if Daniel Harms, if he's got somebody in that mix. 913-912-4810. We'll also get into the conversation around Mizzou. They've got a big 2-game stretch tonight, Saturday, where it feels like it's kind of a must split. Can't get swept. If you go 2-0, that's a huge feather in the cap. They are a touchdown and a hook dogs tonight on the road. College Station against Texas A&M, 7.5-point underdogs tonight, 8 o'clock on the SEC Network. K-State at home against Cincinnati, 2.5-point favorite. So not even a field goal. You got it under 3 with that field goal. That's a pretty good value. We'll see. That's also tonight, 8 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. And if, sort of look at Mizzou's record the rest of the way, can they go 500 the rest of the way to get to 10 wins in conference play? And if they don't, can the worse they be Or would the worst they could be 3-5 to get to the tournament, or does 3-5 equal you must win one game in Nashville for the SEC tournament to get in? So we'll talk about some of those things as well. And I think there is a Trent McDuffie conundrum.
Ooh.
So a lot of things that we'll talk about today. Tons of stuff to get into and discuss, and we will have you come along on the ride with us if you want to at 913-912-4810. The text line to join us to be a part of the show, 913-912-4810. Forgot to send out the tweet of what the show entails today, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. You guys good if I do that?
Yeah, you can do that, and I'll pontificate about how someone wanted me to bark for a phone number last night.
Yeah, that was
Just
odd.
A wild move by that person.
Well, did you?
No, I didn't. I said...
Like I said, she was barking up the wrong tree.
I said, hey, lady, I got Marlboro, Southern Cuts, and Busch Light at home. I'm not. You're not swaying me here. I'm not barking. So quit asking. I was like Nick Saban. I was like, I'm not doing it.
Quit asking.
So quit asking.
Was she persistent trying to get you to bark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was persistent
Little
in it.
freaky.
Yeah.
And I think it's an age gap. I'm 31. I'm a grown man. Probably about 24. I feel like there's an age. Darcy, like, would you see? Darcy said he would have barked. I think Darcy would, because he's younger.
Darcy,
said?
Darcy is still on a high from Monday with Melvin Council being the dog, and he barks, and I think that's
an age gap.
I think Darcy's still feeling that,
If
high
I was
on
out
life.
with Melvin Council, I would absolutely start barking.
They wouldn't pay attention to you, by the way. If you were out with Melvin Council, you would be a ghost. You'd be like,
Oh, come on, you've got great hair. I think
No.
Darcy.
am I
Melvin
Bruce Willis here?
Council's-
Nobody's looking at me. Am I Bruce Willis? Why can't anybody see me? I mean,
Wait,
except this.
he was dead the whole time?
This child is the only one that's talking to me here. And why is this child in the bar?
If someone told me to bark, I would just walk away. I'd be like, okay.
Depends on what she looks like. Let's be honest.
I don't think it does.
I think it does. All right, 913-912-4810. Exactly, 913-912-4810. Also, I
Did we get
forgot
this out yet? That was just me trying to.
No, it did.
Okay.
Also, meant to mention that a topic that we'll start with Travis Kelce, but lead into as well of, I think this is a question for the next month and a half, up into the draft. This roster, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Jack, you weren't here with us, but Sterling and Michael and I went through and we were looking at the teams in the AFC that are already, right now, all right, the free agents for the Chiefs, the injury to Patrick Mahomes, the unknown about the wide receivers, just how the roster is right now. How many teams in the AFC would you put above the Chiefs? Knowing that there is still the injury to Patrick Mahomes, and we don't know how good he's going to be. Sterling said none because there's still Patrick Mahomes. And the exercise to me was more of I had him as the 6th. So then as the offseason and draft comes along, did they do enough to advance others? When we get to training camp, what does Patrick Mahomes look like? Then it might be, hey, they're number one because Patrick Mahomes looks healthy. The overhaul in the positional coaches and assistant coaches. So we went through that, Jack, which sort of led us to what does the roster actually look like? And I think it's a question of whether or not this roster needs an overhaul or if it just needs some minor adjustments or an alignment, some rotating the tires, change the oil, spark plugs, a new battery, maybe an alternator, I don't know. Or do you just need to change out a bunch of pieces in this offseason? So we'll get into that. But let's start with Travis Kelce. They had the New Heights podcast this morning. He did not say he was returning to the Kansas City Chiefs. He wasn't asked about it by his brother. Not getting to the hard-hitting questions. Come on, Jason. There were 2 reports out this weekend that you and the Chiefs were meeting and discussing after the Super Bowl what would work for both sides to return, and if they could find a middle ground. And not one question to Travis about, are you talking with the Chiefs? I mean, come on, Jason, what are you doing?
Pretty easy to text your brother, the interviewer, beforehand saying, hey, off-topic questions.
No way, don't.
This.
You don't need to ask me about that, but I will weigh in on the stadium as he did and weighed in on the stadium. So let me ask you this. We'll go around. Do we think Travis is returning next year?
I said 59%.
I'll say 70% now.
I'm at like 85%.
65.
Okay. So I'm the most confident. I just think when I hear the reports like Dana Rossini and Ian Rappaport, that feels like one of those Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs have allowed Tyreek Hill to be teams to seek a trade and a contract for Tyreek Hill. And it's like, okay, so this is sort of already down the road of figuring these things out. I think there's mutual interest. I don't think Travis Kelce would be talking to the Chiefs if he did not want to return.
By the way, we're all above 50%.
Yeah,
which I thought
so
was
we
surprising.
all think he's going to return.
Yes, I think we all
More likely than not.
more likely than not.
Preponderance of evidence that that Travis Kelce returns. So let me ask you this: what's the importance of Travis Kelce returning? Obviously, the money matters. I'll tell you, Spotrack's market value for Travis Kelce is at $10.7 million. So if they bring him back on a contract of 1 year, $11 million, maybe they give him $12 million, maybe it's the Travis Kelce attaboy boost, whatever. Do they need him back on this offense? Or are they just trying to keep the band together and the wheels on the car? You know, Tony Gonzalez said Jerry Rice played until the wheels fell off. Are they just trying to keep the wheels on this car offensively and that Mahomes-Kelce connection? Or would it be better this offseason, sort of a transition overall, to make the transition to the next phase of the Chiefs' offense? We thought it was this year. It did not turn out to be the next phase, Kelce to Rashee Rice. We thought, okay, now the offense is going to run through Rashee Rice. It did not. Sterling?
Yeah, I've had strong thoughts on this. I think if Travis Kelce retires, the Chiefs tight end room is brutal. It goes from a top 7 tight end room in football right now to bottom 3. I mean, if Travis Kelce does not come back, I think the Chiefs
then
need
it's Noah Gray and Brennan Stool and Jared Wiley.
I hate to say it, but they almost need Travis Kelce to return. I know people want to get Kyle Pitts and all. There's a lot that's going to go into trying to land Kyle Pitts. It's not as easy as just saying, we'll get Kyle Pitts. We'll get Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely, to an extent, is still an unknown.
Njoku is a name that's out there now.
And you know me, I like David Njoku, but you look at what David Njoku's done in his career, his best season is worse than the worst season of Travis's career. Like, I feel like
He's playing in Cleveland, though, and Travis is playing with Patrick.
100%, don't argue that, but Kyle Pitts last year, the emergence of Kyle Pitts, and they're very, very similar numbers to Travis Kelce.
True.
We've almost taken for granted what Kelce has done because he'd been so good for so long, and you get caught up in these shiny new names, and they're younger, all of this. It was my Joe Tooney versus Trey Smith conversation last year. Yeah, Trey Smith might be better, but for the one season next year, who's the better player? Well, it was Joe Tooney. Still love Trey Smith, not saying it was the worst move, but, like, who's going to be better next year? Travis Kelce or David Njoku? It's probably still going to be a 37-year-old Travis Kelce. That's more than likely what it's going to be. Yes, I think you need Travis Kelce back. The spot track, however you're going to pronounce that, for David Njoku is 10-ish million. It's about the same as Travis.
Roughly the same, yeah.
I don't know.
Pitts is higher.
People, way higher. People get so mad because Travis has not done the 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns, and he had a couple of brutal drops last year, that people are ready to move on. Guys dropped the ball. Kyle Pitts was doing that for 3 straight years in Atlanta. I don't know. I get frustrated with this Travis Kelce conversation at times because I feel like people don't realize even now, at 37, going to be 37, he's still a top 10 tight end in the NFL.
They can bring him back, in my opinion, if he finally becomes the 3rd or 4th option in this offense. So, I mean, I go back to the last couple of years, and even some of them resulted in Super Bowl victories. He was the number 1 option for Patrick Mahomes, and that put so much wear and tear on his body where maybe 10 years ago you say, yeah, Travis Kelce can play till he's 40 or 41, and now we're talking about, is he retiring at 36, 37? If they don't have the progression of this wide receiver room, or they don't add in the draft, they don't add in free agency, you're not going to get the same Travis Kelce maybe that you did last year. Because Patrick Mahomes, you're hoping that he's ready week 1. Some people would say, he might miss a couple games in the beginning. You want to make sure you have as good of an offense around the quarterback position as you can. And if they spend $10 to $11 million on Travis Kelce, and that's their biggest acquisition, well, either A, you better hope that Eric Bieniemy comes in and finally wakes up Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and gets these guys to where they can play. Otherwise, you need to have that hard conversation of, do we need to start pivoting to a different version, a different era? Because last year, all Brett Veach did was go and give these big extensions to guys that wanted or that he drafted and developed and wanted to keep the band together. And this team went 6-11, and there were a lot of holes on the team. There were a lot of weak spots. Now, the tight end position, Travis Kelce was one of the top receiving tight ends last year. He's not a bad player by any means, but at some point, whether it's this year or next year, you got to start wondering who the next guy is. Whether you're drafting that or you're bringing somebody in, I just know for a fact it sure as hell ain't Noah Gray or Brittingstool or whoever they have behind him. Those guys cannot be Wiley. They're not number one tight ends in the NFL. Yeah. And if you do say no to Kyle Pitts, which I'm indifferent on, or David Njoku, they could be your number one for this year, if not for Travis Kelce. But I'm ready to see who the next guy can be, and whether that be the draft, signing somebody in free agency to play behind Travis Kelce. You got to start thinking that, and I'm sure Brett Veach already is.
So, yes, and I don't argue that, and I do think the Chiefs need to get someone behind Travis. But if they don't have Travis this year, then this upcoming season is a non-starter. I will point out, Kyle Pitts' AAV for the market value is, I think, personally way too low on Spot Track. It's 10.8. I think he's going to get closer to at least $15 million a year. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind.
That, yeah, I think that is. I think sometimes Spot Track is too low than what the market's going to bear, especially if the cap's going to be over $300 million.
Yeah. So your free agents are Kelce, Njoku, Goddard, Taysom Hill, Tyler Higbee, Kyle Pitts, Zach Ertz, Isaiah Likely. Mm-hmm. I mean, just the names aren't going to wow you.
Yeah, Travis Kelce is at the with Mike Clay's list. He put together an extensive list. We talked about this one with the fifth best edge rusher that was available being Joshua Uche. And we were talking about and sort of laughing at the fact that, that's what the market looks like for the edge rushers. Tight end, Travis Kelce is the third. He ranks him as the third best tight end available. Kyle Pitts, he puts Goddard above Kelce, but I would not put Goddard above Kelce because Goddard has the injury issues and things, and Kelce is durable as durable gets. And then he lists Njoku and Likely and Ertz, Okonkwo from Tennessee that's had some up and down games, Kate Otten in Tampa Bay, some of the other guys. I'm perfectly fine if Travis Kelce comes back. I think he's a big part of what the locker room is about. I think he's a big part of what could be the transition to the next era of Kansas City Chiefs football with the offense. The contradictory statement to that part of it, in my own argument, is he was the same guy in the locker room, and it sort of felt like the wide receivers didn't give a bleep. So it's like, hey, this is the culture here in Kansas City, and the culture in Kansas City of who the next phase was going to be handed off to in the offense instead of running through Travis. It was going to be, it's time that the offense is going to be, especially the passing game around Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, where they both had rough seasons. And I think Rashee Rice cost himself a lot of money at the end of the year, especially after the bye week, the Raiders game, Commanders game, Bills, the bye week. Then he has some bad drops along the way, stops talking to the media, stops running routes at times, quits on other aspects during the game, not the main target, so he doesn't really run hard. There was some George Pickens to Rashee Rice at the end of the season, and that cost him some money. But it also cost, at least for me and maybe public opinion, of you can't transition from Kelce to Rashee Rice. That's not the transition of who the offense is going to be running through.
Correct. In
the passing game. What I would want to see happen if they bring back Kelce, if the market value makes sense, I don't think it can be an offense that still says, okay, it's Mahomes and Kelce. What I worry about is because they have that connection, they've always had that connection, if there becomes less and less trust of Mahomes of, well, I'm going to throw it to Worthy here on the sideline, and he doesn't even know where the sideline is. Or, I'm looking at Rashee Rice, and he's dogging it, so, okay. Where some of these other Sam Darnold can just stare down JSN, and he'll find a way to get open.
Yeah.
He's going to be there. Where if you stare down Rashee Rice, well, I don't know, does he know he's the number one guy? It can't be where Mahomes drops back, maybe is a little more limited, and it's about the security blanket in Travis Kelce.
Sure.
Because he's not the guy he was 3 years ago. even with the lighter weight, we see the all-22, and there are plenty of times where he's got nowhere to go and somebody is on him and he can't shake him, and he's covered, well covered. And I worry about the offense not transitioning to where they're going to have to get it eventually. And do you just live 1 year at a time? Like, does Travis Kelce sign a 1 year deal and then at the end of next year says, well, I don't know if I'm going to come back or not. I still got to decide. Does he sign a 2 year deal and say, I've made a decision. I'm coming back, and I'm not just coming back for 17 games in a playoff run.
Sure.
I've made a decision this offseason. I'm going to sign a 2 year contract. I want to play for 2 more years. Maybe in the back of his mind, it's a 2 year contract. Maybe I retire at the end of this year if things go well.
Sure.
If not, I've already decided in my mind I'm going to play 2 more years and not have to think about what the end of this year is if it's a rough season. But I don't want to get into the mold of you're playing the 1 year at a time. Oh, Kelsey's going to return again for 27. Okay, now it's another 1 year.
It's 2036, and
Kelsey's going to return for 1 more year. Here we go. It's a string of just 1 year contracts.
The wheels have not fallen off yet, so he's going to come back.
Keep bringing him back. And I do wonder if this offseason, with the transition it feels like they're making, is this the time to say, all right, if it's too expensive, just got to move on to the next tight end. Instead of a 1 year, $10 million for Travis Kelce, is it 3 for $30 for Njoku? Or is it somebody that they draft and then they sign, a different tight end, a K-Dot and something like that? Because I also think they have a question about Noah Gray. I like Noah Gray a lot, and Noah Gray seems like a really awesome dude. And at the pickleball thing over the summer, that was so cool of him playing pickleball with all the kids that are there. That was really awesome. Seems like an awesome dude. Noah Gray at $7 million is way too expensive.
Yeah.
You can find somebody for $2 million that does what Noah Gray does. Sorry. It's $3 million dead cap to move on. So you actually save $4 million by moving on from Noah Gray. I mean, that's a decision the Chiefs have to make.
It's also a running back. That's the price of a running back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple more million than what they paid Elijah Mitchell. If you're, hey, Kenneth Gainwell is going to cost you $4 million. Okay, do you save $4 million by moving on from Noah Gray and sign Kenneth Gainwell? That sounds like a better deal for the Chiefs rather than just staying. They have to make a decision. So if Kelce returns, it does make it easier for them to go, sorry, Noah, we've got Brennan Stool that we brought along all of last year.
Yeah.
The tight end room is going to be Kelce, Brennan Stool. We're going to go get a blocking tight end or something and round out, and we need to save that $4 million, and we're going to give that to Kenneth Gainwell or somebody along those lines. So they do have to make that decision too on Noah. There's a lot of decisions that have to be made, and tight end room has been something that they've been able to just chalk up. You got that, move on, find something else. And I don't think they can do that this offseason.
One quick thing is I never understand how it's a negative that they have that connection. I know people have talked about, and even this conversation has gone to, will they need to funnel the ball to someone else? Someone else needs to be the number one. No, I don't argue that. The issue is if they're not doing that and you don't have Kelce, then you're really screwed.
Yeah.
Then there is no security blanket at all, and then what are you doing?
But does it force Mahomes to say, I can't just rely that Kelsey's going to get open, so I'm looking at Kelce here, as opposed to here's read 1, read 2, read 3, and let me play the game that way.
Sure, I think we saw
he
less
does
of that
still.
last year.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we saw a lot less of that. I mean, just based on the target count and the receptions. But for me, it only comes down to unless you can get Kyle Pitts, or unless you can, even Njoku, I don't know if I feel comfortable giving like he's 30 years old. It's not like Njoku's 27.
Right. Yeah.
Like, to me, there's really one name, because even Isaiah Likely, there's so much concern to me as far as he's shown glimpses, but Noah Gray had shown glimpses before, too.
For all of the outside Kansas City criticism about Travis Kelce blocking,
yeah,
that's actually who Isaiah Likely is.
Correct.
Likely is not going.
And Kyle Pitts,
by the way,
too,
Kyle
by the way.
Pitts, same way. Kyle Pitts has no interest in blocking.
And so if you're getting Kyle Pitts might be the only name
Yeah.
that I would say, okay, you give him a 4-ish year deal. Maybe it's more of like a 3, but there's a 4-year deal. But that's going to be a large contract, because no other free agent I'm sitting here going, yeah, that's an upgrade over Travis Kelce, even at age 37. There's not a single one. Yeah. And Kyle Pitts, you're only basically saying that's because of the future.
Yeah, but you're also not getting the blocking that Travis Kelce offers, no matter, again, what people outside of Kansas City want to think. He does block. Pitts does not. And Isaiah Likely is not as bad as Pitts, but also not necessarily all that interested in blocking either.
Kelce and Taysom Hill.
No, thank you.
Bring Taysom Hill in.
No, thank you.
Hey, you know why?
No,
they will
thank you.
not do quarterback sneaks. You know who will do a quarterback sneak? Taysom Hill.
No, thank you.
Bring him in, baby.
I didn't know he was still playing football.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Come on, have the oldest tight end room in football. Let's go.
No, thank you. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll talk about some of the other things on the roster. Like, is it overhaul? Is it small, minor adjustments here or there? They've got some big decisions to make. One of those is at the tight end room. Secondary is a big one as well. And we'll get into the actual price of drafting a running back at number 9. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Cynthia Freeland will be our guest coming up at 11 o'clock. Daniel Holmes at noon. Do we have an update on Mick Schaefer?
Oh, I forgot. Flu.
Whoa, hey, that's a HIPAA.
No,
Everybody's got it
is he
right
flying somewhere?
Oh, he flew out of the. That's right. We didn't know that Monday was a preview of what was going to happen Monday night, because right before the show started, we found out there were flu-like symptoms for somebody we're going to have on the show, and was like, I can't go. I'm out, guys. And then later that night, the same thing happens. But I will say, Mick does work through cramps. All right, he is a guy that if he's cramping, he'll still come on the show. So there you go. Tex says only way you don't bring back Travis Kelce is if the Chiefs have decided that there are too many holes to fill this upcoming season, and this is just a restructure year and a year to get our salary cap under control. Saying that if they just say it's a complete, sort of like the roster, complete overhaul, if they look at it and go, it's 21 to 22, when they went and said Matthew, Hitchens, that defensive line, that defense overall, Sorensen, like a number of those guys, like it was like it's time to move on.
And
we just have to revamp everything.
And they got it all right immediately.
Yeah, they got younger, faster, cheaper, and better tacklers all over the place. Like they looked at it and said, we've got to overhaul this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Wide receiver group they overhauled because it was Tyreek Hill, and then they went to Juju and MVS and whoever else there.
At the time, Juju was still relatively young. He still is relatively young.
I know, right?
It's just the knees.
I'd be fine with them bringing Juju back. Juju seems like a guy that's good and plays his role.
Him and Kareem Hunt are, I'm like,
Yeah,
the
they
veterans
play their
where
role.
guys go, yeah, they have a role, and if they're in the role not playing 90% of snaps, which is not their fault, coaching staff's fault, then you're okay.
Yeah. Texas having Kelce is comfortable for an injured Mahomes when he comes back. And I don't, like to your point, I don't want to make it, Sterling, I don't want to make it sound like the connection that Mahomes and Kelce have is a negative. I don't want it to be I'm just going to look at this guy and throw it to him because I don't trust these other players. And that certainly is a concern right now, but that can also be alleviated in training camp and things like that. Another text says you can't teach want to. I agree. I think that's part of it. I don't know if that was about the receiving corps or Darren Peterson. I'm not sure who that was about, but, it's one of those things you just can't teach. And so that Travis Kelce question of, like, is it an entire overhaul or do you make minor adjustments here or there? And I think there are levels of is it an overhaul versus minor adjustments, because there could be minor adjustments that feel like an overhaul, and I'll explain. You can make a minor adjustment where, wow, Andy Reid brought back a fullback. Yeah. Wow, Andy Reid's backup tight end, they move on from Noah Gray, and they go get Mo Alley Cox from the Colts, one of the better free agent blocking tight ends that's out there as their backup. And, hey, maybe he offers a little bit in the pass game, but it's Kelce and Mo Alley Cox, something like that. And they run the ball a lot more. They go under center. That feels like an overhaul, right?
Sure.
But and whoever they get at running back, they'll certainly get at running back. That feels like an overhaul, but it's some adjustments to the personnel. There could be an overhaul in the secondary where if Brian Cook prices himself out of Kansas City, and if Jalen Watson ends up being like Charvarius Ward, where the Chiefs wanted to bring Lil Mooney back, but he priced himself out of what they thought was the value to go to the 49ers. If somebody does that with Jalen Watson, because Jalen Watson, depending on the list you look at, is either the number 1 or 2 cornerback available out there, he may price himself out. And if Trent McDuffie wants $30, $31 million, he may price himself out. You may have an offseason where Cook, Watson leave, and McDuffie is traded. That would be an overhaul of the secondary.
Correct.
You might have an offseason where McDuffie's re-signed, Brian Cook's re-signed, and Jalen Watson moves on, and Noah Williams fills that spot, and that's a minor adjustment. Like, there are some things that have to be decided on. I think some minor adjustments can feel like an overhaul, especially offensively, if it goes along with one of the complaints that we've had about shotgun RPOs and the personnel that couldn't match what the other teams were doing to counter the smaller, faster defenses we're seeing now.
So you and I are fairly lockstep here. I think that offensively we'll see some minor changes. I think defensively you could see some overarching ones. Like, I think defensively there's going to be
Defensive line might be vastly different.
that defensive line, linebacker. Do they re-sign Leo? Do they move on from Drew? Is Nick Bolton basically the only linebacker left standing in that room? I mean, there is a very good possibility that how many starters? So 11 starters defensively.
Typically,
How many? Well, some teams
Unless
have
you
10.
want a penalty.
Some teams, some go with 10 if they're bad and they're
You never
why
know.
not? So 11 guys.
When a minute who's out there does feel like 10. Why would I go at this? Anyway,
My point is, how many starters from last year's 11 will be back next year starting? Because there could be, what, 4? 5?
I think you can make a case that, again, I mentioned 3, possibly right
So
there.
Chris Jones, Karlaftis, and Nick Bolton for sure. Those are your...
You're saying returning.
Yeah, so those are your 3 locks, right?
Yep.
Omar Norman Lott wasn't a starter last year because it was Tillery, but it might be Omar Norman Lott.
Shamari Connor.
So Shamari will be 4.
And that's sort of it that you feel like is for sure.
Because Jaden Hicks wasn't necessarily a starter last year.
No, he wasn't. He barely played.
So 4. There's a real possibility that you only have 4 returning starting defensive players next year.
Again, if Leo Chanel prices himself out and they don't feel like the value is there for Drew Tranquil, where they can save $6-7 million against the cap by moving on from Tranquil, who's going to be, his age starts with a 3 now. It's great value when they got him. But now he's getting a little bit older. He's playing fine, but is he playing to the level of
I
what
thought
that
he was
contract
still really
is?
good last year. I thought he was
I
really
think
solid.
he had some up and down games, and I think that may come with the aging part of being a linebacker that's viewed as being a more athletic linebacker. So you can, there is a scenario where with $300 million salary cap, where some of these teams that are just flush with cash overpay for Brian Cook, overpay for Jalen Watson. Leo Chanel's looked like as the Swiss Army knife, and somebody pays him a lot of money. The Chiefs look at Drew Tranquil and say it's probably not worth the money to move to stay with him. And then Jalen Watson wants Trent McDuffie wants $30+ million, and they move on. Like, there is a scenario where that happens, and they're overhauling and retooling a lot of different areas of the defense. Or they cut Drew, bring back Leo Chanel, sign Trent McDuffie, Brian Cook stays, and it's like they really only made some minor adjustments defensively, and they're kind of the same, and they just moved on from Watson and Williams and Najee Johnson and guys like that, and Noel Williams and
Menahu
Kevin Knowles.
and Tillery and maybe Noddy and Pennell.
Yeah.
You need to pick an area on both sides of the ball that you have 100% confidence that you're able to draft well at. And to me, when I look at Brett Veach, he drafts incredibly well when it comes to the cornerback position. And then I'd say, for the most part, the guard position and getting Trey Smith. I was thoroughly impressed with Kingsley Suamataia as the season went on. Yeah. And that's how you need to make some of these financial decisions. Okay, if you don't need to overpay for Jalen Watson. I love Trent McDuffie. He's a true number 1 cornerback. He's great in the slot. But also, we saw the emergence of Noel Williams. And this happens every single year with the Chiefs. There's some cornerback they take in day 2 or day 3, and by the end of the year, they play so well you start saying, oh, that's their number 2 guy next year, depending on who their number 1 would be. That's how you need to handle this defense is you don't have to pay them just to feel comfortable. Well, we have them back, right? If we love Brian Cook for this defense. We don't feel confident that Jaden Hicks is ready for the next step, so let's just pay him right now and not worry about it. On the off chance that Jaden Hicks can't play that spot. You got to have confidence somewhere here, because I thought last year they paid all of these guys the big money. Nick Bolton, we saw what he can do for the linebacker position. You bring back some of these guys, you give them contracts that might have been pricey, but to me it was this opinion that Veach had, or maybe just an angle he was taking of, we don't have to worry now about somebody new coming in and bombing at that position, being such a liability where it reflects poorly on me. You need to make that pivot now into this new era of the Chiefs of having confidence in drafting at certain positions. And it doesn't need to be all over the defense, but it can make these choices easier. We know they need more than just another Trent McDuffie. We know they need more than just a couple of running backs or another wide receiver or a backup tight end. They need a lot of pieces out there, and you're not going to be able to do that if you keep paying all of these guys because you're nervous that somebody might not be able to make that jump.
But I guess the other side of this is they thought that with Jaden Hicks. They thought Jaden Hicks was going to take that step, and he did not. So will they trust moving on, for example, Leo or Drew Tranquil and say, hey, Boss is our guy? Well, we didn't see Boss play hardly at all. It was more Cooper McDonald. Yeah. So I do wonder if the Jaden Hicks situation, get different players, different position, But if that affects it all of, hey, we trusted Jaden Hicks to take that next step. We didn't see it this year. So can we afford to move on from Drew and give it to Tabasa? But you're right, at some point, you're going to have to make that decision.
And they didn't do it, right? How much of it is on the player? How much of it is on the coaching staff? I mean, you draft these guys, and they're not all undrafted free agents. You have guys that you spent a 4th-round pick on, a 5th-round pick on, and then the coaching staff just says, well, they don't do enough in practice, therefore we're never going to see him out
We
there.
need Mike Edwards.
I mean, this team was, let's just call it as it is. They were terrible this past year, and there were multiple opportunities in the back half of the schedule to play some of those guys to figure out the system, and they
finally
didn't do it.
Finally did in Week 18.
Against the Raiders of all teams.
Yeah. And I think so when you mention Trey Smith and Nick Bolton and guys like that, I think this allows the Chiefs to sit back, take a deep breath, reassess everything. Because you beat the Eagles. All right, what do you got to do to go back-to-back? All right, you do go back-to-back. What do you got to do 3 in a row? Because teams don't go 3 in a row. Okay. What do you got to do to be the first team since the Bills to go to 4 straight Super Bowls and win 3 of 4 and be the ultimate dynasty that teams have won 3 of 4, but did they do it while also playing in a Super Bowl, the one they didn't win? What do you got to do? They're not chasing any history now of consecutive this, consecutive that with the Super Bowls. They missed the playoffs.
It's a good call.
So is this the time where you go, we're not trying to just piece it together to keep chasing history. Now we have to take this offseason and say, how do we have another era of 3 of 4 years where we're going to a Super Bowl? How do we get the next group to where we go to 7 straight AFC championship games instead of saying, no, keep this going, keep this going, keep this going until it falls apart? Well, it did. And the concern about like a Nick Bolton and a Trey Smith and guys like that is some of those contracts I feel were to keep it together for the 4th year going to the Super Bowl. The deals were supposed to be more cap friendly this year, and they didn't take advantage of those, so they make those signings for 2025, and it all fell apart. So it may be easier for them to sit back and go, okay, now we are going to make some moves that we might have made had they not beaten the Bills in the AFC Championship game and didn't make the Super Bowl, and so you're not going for this consecutive streak of going to the Super Bowl and going to 4 in a row.
That's a really good call.
So we'll see. We'll see what they do. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, man, if you're out there and you may be suffering from some symptoms that you could, or that could, maybe you think it could be related to low testosterone. Well, if that's the case, Heartland Men's Health can certainly help you because they have been successfully treating men in the Kansas City area for a while now, 2 years for me. And Heartland Men's Health, they can likely help with some of those symptoms that are going on that are often signs of low testosterone. But also Heartland Men's Health is helping men go further with 4 targeted body composition plans featuring GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1, PDA, and more, which are all designed to boost energy, support metabolism, enhance recovery, and accelerate fat loss. All of these things with the low T treatments combined, it's an entire body composition that can make everything feel the way that you did when you were in your 20s. More energy, better focus, improved sleep, stronger workouts, motivation to even go and work out. Go to Heartland Men's Health, schedule a consult with Heartland Men's Health to do your lab work with you, have your results within 30 minutes. A licensed medical provider will review your results with you, discuss the options, help you make the decision together with the medical team. Cost of the appointment, it's $99, but that includes that medical consult, T, and a PSA test. And if you sign up for testosterone treatment the day of your appointment, the visit, it's free. They have been successfully treating men in the Kansas City area. No reason to wait around and see if maybe I'll just wake up one day and get back to feeling the way that I did. The body doesn't work like that. They've got 3 locations to serve you: Overland Park, Independence between Blue Springs and Lee Summit, and North Kansas City. Call them today at 844-447-6600. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, 844-447-6600, or visit heartlandmenshealth.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Cynthia Freeland coming up at 11 o'clock. Daniel Holmes coming up at noon. A lot more to discuss with him, and certainly Cynthia Freeland as well. 913-912-4810. Text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation here on this Wednesday. So we'll see some of the decisions that they're going to make, that they're going to have to make. I looked at the number 9 pick because we're talking about, okay, do you take a running back? Not we're talking about it, but it is part of the conversation of if Jeremiah Love is there at number 9 and some of the defensive ends are gone, what do you do? Or all the defensive ends you want in the top 10. Do you take Jeremiah Love? And it's like, okay, do you take somebody that might be the best prospect in the draft? And, okay, this is the running back that's teamed up with Mahomes until Patrick Mahomes is 36 years old. So this would be the backfield tandem. You know, that battery, pitcher-catcher, quarterback, running back until he's like 36 years old. But what we're not factoring in is you're not just taking a running back at number 9. You're not getting him for free. You're still paying him number 9 value in the draft.
Correct.
Which is 4 years, $31 million, which is about $8 million per year. At Spot Track, Kenneth Walker's value is $9 million. I think it's going to be more than that. Yeah. Breece Hall at PFF is 12.3. Spot Track is 10.4. Let's middle that one. It's 11. So you're talking about the best free agent running back out there would be $3 million more than what the running back you'd be paying with Jeremiah Love, whereas the best free agent defensive end is Trey Hendrickson, and he's valued at, even at Spot Track, which seems to be a little low, at $26 million per year.
Yeah, it's the simple economics.
Yeah.
My good Watson is what it comes down to at number 9. Just a chance to save a lot of money with a premium position if you get it correct.
Like the third best free agent running back is less than $8 million per year.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to be paying the number 9 pick with the free agent rookie scale. So you got to factor that in if you're going to go running back at number 9, as opposed to Breece Hall. Kenneth. By the way, the guy from Seattle that was on the 2-minute drill on Monday said he doesn't think the Seahawks are signing Kenneth Walker.
Wow.
He's like, I don't know that that's going to happen. That he's like, just the way you build a team, might be too expensive, and they find somebody else. Like, maybe it's Charbonnet. Thank you, Jack. Cynthia next.
She's done the research.
I measured the big boys' booties for like 2 years.
She's analyzed the data.
If you can keep that big booty down, like if you are a big boy, if you're very tall and you can keep your booty down low, then you are far more successful.
She's crunched the numbers, and the results are clear.
The back of booty isn't as good, as it turns out.
If she picks a dog, she'll have the math to back it up.
It's not like Travis Kelce is done. My dog is very excited about this, just so you know.
It's Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, heading up until 2 o'clock. We talk now with our NFL Network analytics expert, Cynthia Freeland, joining us here in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB on this Wednesday. Cynthia, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am doing just fine. How did you enjoy the Super Bowl? Did you make it up to San Francisco, or did you just stay around Santa Clara the whole time?
Well, I was doing the in-venue experience, so every morning we had sound checks in Santa Clara, so it was kind of back and forth a lot for me, which was a little bananas, but good overall.
And by the way, can you give a shout out to Kyle Brandt? Because he was on Friday walking through Radio Row doing a live. It was live on Good Morning Football, and he's walking through and he's telling the story of Mike Vrabel and a guy that played and won some Super Bowls with the Patriots. And we aren't talking enough about this guy's journey, and people around are not doing that. And he looks over and he goes, there's Sports Radio 810 WHB. What's up, fellas? Follow the leader.
Love it.
And then he gets right back into talking about Mike Vrabel. It was just random. We're like, hey, what's up, man? And I'm like, shout out, And we're like, you know what? That's the effect of having Cynthia and Kimmy Checks on here on Sports Radio 810. That's what happens.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
We get the shout out from
Perfect.
Kyle. It was awesome. And we had Manti on the show last week. And
Nice.
he was great. He's a natural, by the way.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like, he's a very sweet human. Very, very.
Yeah, he was really fun to talk to. Cynthia Freeland, also fun to talk to. So the game happens, not a surprise. It felt like the game was leading up and looked exactly like some of the predictions were. What did you take away from that game? And I'm assuming it sort of went to form to a degree of what you thought was going to happen. What did you think?
I thought there would be more scoring overall, but apart from that, I guess the Seahawks front seven just totally dominating felt like something that, unless we know Mike Vrabel's going to have a good plan. We understand Josh McDaniels going to have a good plan, but we talked about it throughout the entire playoff run. Will Campbell, the left tackle, did not look right ever since he returned from injury. Turns out he was playing with a torn ligament, God forbid.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, that kind of, to me, was the deciding factor of the game. I did not realize that was the game that had the highest pressure rate overall on any quarterback in the next gen stats era. So that would also include, so it's 10 years, that also includes that Tampa Bay Super Bowl where Patrick Mahomes looked like he was under pressure basically every single snap. It was actually a higher rate than that, which is pretty bananas.
Yeah, I mean, that was clearly one of the takeaways that I had. I think a lot of people had those particular takeaways from that. It's such a copycat league, Cynthia, and teams see what's happening, and then they see if they can replicate that, or is that the trend in football? Anything that we see from the Patriots and especially maybe the Seahawks that teams are going to look at and take away from them and say, this is football moving forward. What did the Seahawks do? How can we get to that and be a team that sort of can be built like the Seahawks or go and win a Super Bowl? Anything that you took away from those two teams that other teams might copy?
Yeah, I think the Devin Witherspoon having 4 pressures, including a sack, that were unblocked. I think the looks where that's not really anything to do with the O-line being unable to pressure or to withstand the pressure. That was like very good simulated pressures, tricking the quarterback into thinking that Devin Witherspoon wasn't going to rush him. So, you look at that and you're like, well, maybe part of that is because Nick Emanwari had suffered an ankle injury earlier in the week, or you look at it and say it was a strategy standpoint. Doesn't really matter. The stimulated pressures got him good. So those 4 pressures were huge. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 4 unblocked pressures. Nobody likes an unblocked pressure. Nobody likes a blocked pressure, but you especially don't like an unblocked one.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we look at mock drafts, and I'll get into your mock draft here in a little bit that you just put out, a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday morning. I can't remember, but I look at that and I see some of the the cornerbacks, and you and I talked like a month ago about Quentin Lake, that was the guy that I really, really wanted the Chiefs to go out and sign, and the Rams were like, no, screw you, Jason. It was specifically because I said that.
It was really personal, I bet.
It really was.
I bet it was like super personal. They were like, they heard you say it, and now they're like, oh, absolutely not.
100%. Like, I didn't know Jason was aware of this. Now the word's getting out. No way, we're signing him right now.
Absolutely not, right.
It's weird that they did that. If Emanwari was a different name and played, and we see the Seahawks, and Emanwari was in the draft this year, one of my takeaways is that he's probably a top 20 pick because of how we're seeing teams use those. I don't think Emanwari lasted the second round if people would have viewed the Seahawks, if the Seahawks did exactly what they did this year, but they did it last year with a player who was a rookie second rounder that looks and plays like Emanwari, I think teams would have said, nope, that guy's a difference maker. We're taking him right now, and we're not letting him get to the second round. So credit John Schneider and the Seahawks for doing that. One of my takeaways is I wonder how much an emphasis will be put on players like that to be placed in that spot to be the difference makers, and if teams can find somebody. It's finding the guy that can do that, but will they be looking for that? And by proxy, did Caleb Downs move up a couple of spots in the draft maybe?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Caleb Downs, number one, I just double-checked. I have him going 10th overall to the Bengals, in large part because his profile. Nick Emanwari, let's just remember, he jumped out of the gym.
Yeah, it was crazy.
His ridiculous combine metrics were out of control. But that notwithstanding, the versatile factor that he showed at Ohio State, my whole analysis of him is he falls into the category like Nick Emanwari, like Kyle Hamilton, like a Derwin James or a Minka Fitzpatrick. Those are all very different body types, but it's the versatility factor at that safety position. Do we even want to call Nick Emanwari a safety? I think he played 12 snaps like true safety last year. Like that, Swiss Army knife. We need a better word for that, but you know what I'm saying. Like, point being, I don't know. I don't think he gets. Caleb Downs should be writing a thank you note to Nick Emanwari for increasing his draft stock.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like you're right about that, playing safety, because I think we're like, again, it's one of the reasons why I wanted Quentin Lake. He's a safety, but he's a slot, and he's really good. And I think that's also what we're seeing in the NFL is that by the way, the Chiefs tried it, and Spags, to his credit, I think looked at what was going on. And he attempted to do that with Shamari Connor. The difference is Connor became, the crosshairs of every quarterback and offensive coordinator. Where's 27 on the field? Where's Shamari Connor? Let's throw at that guy, because he couldn't cover. But the size, speed, put him in the slot, help with the run, cover tight ends, cover power slots. Is he good enough to cover smaller guys? He just wasn't good enough to cover. He did other things well. That's the problem, is trying to find the guy that can do both. I think Spags saw that and was aware of what that guy can do. They just, like Indiana Jones, chose poorly on who they wanted to put there.
Right. You can't just like ask somebody to do that. There's a reason why Kyle Hamilton got paid like $1 bajillion, and same with Derwin James, and same with Minka, and that Nick Emanwari eventually will get to that point, assuming he stays healthy, et cetera. But, you'd have to find the ones that can actually do it. Now, I will say, if you watch Caleb Downs' college footage, you notice him. He stands out. So the chances that he's able to do that feel very strong, at least from the standpoint of what we can tell from college, which, me, I'm more angry. My anger with the transfer portal has now been reached peak anger, because this is the wildest year ever when it comes to, like, some guys are 20, some guys are 24, and it's not just quarterbacks. It's like, corner, which is you don't want an old corner necessarily. There's a lot of data that shows that, knees and hips, you lose speed over time, and even 4 years. But you just gotta. It's wild. It's the Wild West out here with analysis. So I guess I have to embrace it, because this is maybe making data science more valuable. But on some level, it's like the transfer portal also makes playbooks paper thin. So I don't even know. You don't have like a diversity of play options to choose from on what these kids have or haven't done. Their resumes are just very thin.
Well, just looking at like a need for the Kansas City Chiefs in edge, I mean, LT Overton's 21 and Mesidor's 25. So, it's like,
and let me be clear, it would take, you would have to play for Andy Reid and Brett Veach at 25 to be drafted highly. Now, let's call it, once you get into Saturday, whatever, who cares, right? All bets are off. But we're talking Thursday or Friday, you'd have to be special for them to take a 25-year-old. That is a whole contract difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that
Absolutely.
is a whole NFL lifetime. NFL players don't play for 4 years typically on average. So no world.
I'm with you. I saw him, for those that are actually going through the task of making multiple round mock drafts, I won't look at it and go, how stupid
Good
is
for
that?
them.
Right.
That's a hell of a life commitment right
yes,
there.
they're doing the work. So I just will say, I don't see that happening. I can't remember who it was. You know what? I think it might have been your colleague at NFL Network put out the 3-round mock draft. And by the way,
was it Lance or was it? It wasn't DJ.
No, it was writer Chad.
Got it. Chad. Poor Chad.
Yeah, he put out
Chad.
he put out the 3-round mock draft, and in round number 2, he's got the Chiefs taking Mesidor, and I'm like, I think the position I think is right if they pass on edge in the first round.
Yeah.
I think at 40, I think the position is right. I don't think it would be Mesidor would be the guy. He's got Zion Young going right after that to the Bengals. They're different types of players. So maybe he was looking at, he might be 25, but, they need more pass rush rather than Zion being, a little bit bigger. And I would go Zion there over Mesidor. But to your point, you've got a 21-year-old, you've got a 25-year-old, and you got to figure some of those things out. It's just
I'm just
really
telling
fascinating.
you, and I would be, like, there are some things that I'm like, I would never pick what I think someone's profile is for certain players, but for an Andy Reid and a Brett Veach, like if you don't have speed and youth, like you have to be like special times a million.
Yeah. Yep. Cynthia Freeland is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. Let's talk about your mock draft.
Okay.
At number 9, David Bailey's off the board and Reuben Bain's off the board. Thanks a lot. So those guys aren't there. Yeah, Caleb Downs was there. You have the Chiefs going with Francis Mauigoa with Miami at offensive tackle, which, I wouldn't be against if the Chiefs take an offensive tackle and say, all right, so Simmons and let's call him Francis will be the bookend tackles, sort of like a Stanley and Alt for not Stanley, but Chargers left tackle.
Rashad Slater.
Slater, yes. Slater, Stanley, same thing.
Same difference.
Slippy, Swanson. I was way off. Francis, I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though. Francis and Simmons, sort of like the Staley and Alt. So I wouldn't be against that. I do wonder what his booty looks like, so that's certainly a question. But so you passed up on Caleb Downs. And you passed up on Jeremiah Love, which I'm perfectly fine with.
Dear God, please be fine with that.
Yes, totally fine with that. You passed up on Jordan Tyson. Mekhi Lemon. So you passed up on a couple. All right, I'll just ask the question. So number 9, you chose tackle. These are all the names that are being talked about at 9. What is it about Francis that you like there at number 9 for the Chiefs and what he brings?
Well, one, he's 20. So there's that you. That's the first part. So he's huge. He's 6'6". Okay, he hasn't been measured in Indy yet, so he's over 6'5". Let's call him that. He's probably going to measure it at about 6'6". That's what all of the most reputable sources have him listed at. But the point is that he's ginormous. But his data reads like a guy who's 6'1". So what does that mean? It means he's very able to stay low and have good leverage. So not being a waist bender, and figuring out like lateral movements, meaning he has gone in compressed and also more spread out formations and has similar results to a guy who's like 4 or 5 inches shorter than him, like a 6'1" guy, which I know that sounds crazy, but that's a huge deal, right? Like sometimes when you have really tall tackles, like for example, Spencer Brown, who I know, for the Bills is the right tackle for the Bills, who often will have back injuries. And when you see that, that's sometimes he's huge. He's like 6'7". So that can be the trade-off if they can't stay very low. Well, he doesn't have the indicators that would suggest back injuries or the inability to bend down would be a problem.
Interesting. And he's got and his booty's good, right?
Yeah, great booty.
Okay, great. That makes total sense. Cynthia Freeland is our guest. Is he, would he be, okay, you pencil him in, he's right tackle, Simmons is left tackle? Is he left tackle and Simmons could play right tackle? Because here's the question would be, can he play left tackle? I worry about Simmons and leaving the team for 4 weeks last year, the injuries he's had. If it's a guy that they're like, okay, we're taking a tackle at number 9 because we're going to feel good about what this offensive line is going to be moving forward with Patrick Mahomes, and this guy can play left, we can slide Simmons over to right, and if something happens, we can replace him there with somebody else. Is Francis versatile that way, right? I'm just going to keep calling him Francis, by the way.
It appears that he is. Okay. I mean, to the best of, you can't, like I said, you never know, but, from what you can tell from his Miami footage, yes. Yeah. So, to me, he's left. Yeah. So, I care more about protecting a quarterback's ACL than almost anything else, especially because I do not believe this free agency is going to yield many tackle prospects that are going to be worth what people will have to pay for them. It's just there aren't 64 right and left starter level tackles. Therefore, the value of especially one on a rookie deal would probably exceed anything you could get in free agency, assuming like what we know about free agency now, which of course could be nothing. This is also a wild year for free agency because with 10 new coaches, there's a lot of like get my guy out there, right? Like get my guy factor is very hard to forecast because payment then becomes less. Yeah. The market becomes more emotional. So therefore, you could have some different liquidity factor, but we'll see. But point being is, from what the best we can estimate now, tackle is going to be very pricey and you're not going to get a good return on that investment.
And it feels like, we mentioned Jeremiah Love, and you're totally fine with them passing on him, just because, I think there's the monetary factor that goes along with it, like that rookie scale at number 9 projected to be around 4 years, $31 million. So that's $8 million a year for the running back, whereas, whatever the offensive tackle, top would be, or even a defensive end there, like Trey Hendrickson, 2 for, maybe 60. He might be at $30 million a year as opposed to Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker. And if they're looking at running back, this feels like a pretty decent free agent running back crop, right? That there's value in what these guys could bring to the table with a Rico Dowdle or Javonte or Etienne or Dobbins. Algiers, a guy that's come up a lot around here. Rashad White's a local kid from Kansas City, which would be fun. Breece Hall obviously would be the one that would get the most money, and if the Seahawks make a decision one way or another on Kenneth Walker, if he's going to walk and be available.
Can you imagine them being like, see you later?
It is interesting,
I just feel like that would be like bad juju. It's possible. It is. I'm not suggesting it's an impossibility. I just feel like this guy became the 8th running back Super Bowl MVP ever, and now you're going to be like, see ya, toodaloo, Michigan State kid, gotta go. But it's again certainly possible. But I have a hard time believing that.
I would wonder if they move on from him. I would then sort of have my questions about, all right, is this a guy that you go out and sign because the Seahawks have seen him every day at practice, every game, and they looked at it and said that playoff run was amazing, but we don't think that's who he is. We think that was an amazing run.
Look, to be fair, anything can happen. It's also, you have to remember, I don't actually know who his agent is, but there are some agents out there who really mess things up. So anything could happen. I don't think it will. But I don't think anything weird will happen. But these sometimes agents are weird, man. I saw a whole bunch of them at the Super Bowl. I'm sure, just like you, and you're like, they're all trying to get me to talk about their guy, and I'm like, I'm like, listen, if you're going to try to buy me, you can't just like convince me with words. You get money. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, to that degree, I don't know that it was an agent or anything, but Cynthia Freeland's our guest on Radio Row, walking around. I'm like, that guy looks really familiar. Why do I know that guy? Like pretty much every other person.
Rosenhaus?
Yeah, no. I did see him there though, but it was like every other person. You're thinking that, but it was Taekwon Thornton.
Oh, there you go.
Because I was looking, I'm like, that looks like, why would Taekwon be here at Radio Row? I know he's a free agent, but like, you're seeing some of these other guys here, and he was making the rounds on Radio Row to different places, and he came on in Kansas City, and I asked him, are you talking with the Chiefs? And he said, well, that's up to my agent, and he said, but I would like to go somewhere that I get my fair share of targets. And then also mentioned that he wants to be viewed as more of an all-around receiver. He's like, I win in practice, I run these other routes, and I do these things in practice, but then a game comes, and I'm not viewed that way. It's sort of a straight line, just a deep threat. So I thought that was interesting, of, fair share of targets. I also thought, he was a guy that probably should have been used a little bit more, because the offense didn't seem to be running as smoothly when he wasn't out there. I worry that he'll price himself out, that somebody will pay him and say, look what he did with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, that Worthy couldn't do. I would love for them to bring him back. I don't know that the Chiefs will necessarily view him and say, no, we're going to view him as an all-around receiver that'll run intermediate routes and out routes and comebacks and things like that, as opposed to he's the take the top off the guy, and that's just simply what his career is going to be.
Well, to be fair, I think he's going to have a harder time catching. And I don't know him. I've never met him. I always appreciate someone who bets on themselves. Let me start with saying I love the ego there. I love the confidence. You got to have confidence. All receivers, whatever. But I will say, he goes somewhere and he could be targeted a lot, but not all quarterbacks throw pretty of a ball. It's
a good point.
Home, so good luck.
That's a good point. Yeah, getting the targets isn't necessarily the same as getting the receptions and the yards. Which I do wonder. Like Cynthia, I think moving forward, one of the things in the advanced analytics that I think I've had this as a bullet point like for 3 months now, and I haven't got around to it. But now that we mentioned Taekwon Thornton, it pops into my head here to ask you. Patrick Mahomes in the deep ball was criticized a lot this year of like, well, his deep ball accuracy.
They got to find something. Okay, keep going.
Yes. It's the footwork or whatever, the trust. And I wonder as the analytics continue to go on, like we talk about, boy, this guy's ball tracking ability is amazing. Carnell Tate, boy, that guy tracks the ball like the best outfielder in baseball. It's like Andrew Jones in the outfield is Carnell Tate tracking the ball. Heard the same thing about Xavier Worthy, by the way. Taekwon Thornton was a guy that was pretty good at catching the deep balls from Patrick Mahomes. Seemed like to be the only guy. Is deep ball completion percentage, is that heading in the way of where baseball went from limiting the running game from being a catcher stat to more of a pitcher stat? Are we going from deep ball completion percentage, a quarterback stat, to maybe a wide receiver stat?
It depends. I mean, because I would argue that, like, for example, both the guys in the Super Bowl had some really great deep ball percentages, and you didn't see it. You didn't really see that in the Super Bowl, right? So I guess the question is, to me, is what's the denominator? How many are they trying? And what's the situation? I will say in the beginning of the season, and I will also put an asterisk here, that Drake May played against 9 different teams that fired their coach. Yeah. So perhaps some of that is a little fugazi, but like ultimately, they were doing things on third down, third and deep, throwing the ball really far. That's actually very helpful. That's a nice stat. Yeah. Now, again, you have to look at the quality of the competition but I will say, to do it as often as they were, that was really something, especially on third and long. But I think no matter what, you need the threat of it, I guess is my point. So fair share of targets makes me annoyed because, like, are you playing for yourself or are you playing for the team, right? Like, because ultimately your ability to, like, Rashid Shaheed didn't get a ton of targets, but the fact that he was out there really helped the whole team, including Jackson Smith and Jigba, including Cooper Kupp, including A.J. Barner, who actually caught a touchdown, right, in the Super Bowl. So the point is you need the threat of all of it, because that's what really helps with when you have a clean pocket. the threat, like, oh crap, Rashid Shaheed's way back there. I gotta deal with him. And
Yeah.
even that moment of hesitation can be the difference makers. Part of the reason why Jackson Smith and Jigba had over 100 receiving yards on 8 different routes. Only him and Puka Nacua were the two guys that could say that. And Puka Nacua had Devontae Adams, who he's a threat on every down. So it's not necessarily, and by the way, Devontae Adams will go in the Hall of Fame. So maybe just worry about, like, what does the team, what do you want from the team? How can you extend your career? Because if he thinks about it, you sell out for one huge contract, or do you want two pretty large contracts?
It's interesting. And to his credit, he had said, he's like, this is the first time I've ever been able to do this. He's like, I was drafted and then I signed in the practice squad. He's like, and after the season there, and he's like, it's the first time I can sort of go around and see what's offered and what's out there. What I'm looking for is to see that, can I get my fair share? And then I asked, can you get that with the Chiefs? And he said, yeah, definitely. I think I can get all that with the Chiefs.
Well, he better say yes.
Right, of course he could.
After that, like, I'd be annoyed with. I'm annoyed with him because I just don't like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like like, you're so lucky to catch a ball from Pat. Like, there's a few guys, like, even when Peyton Manning was throwing all those interceptions and it looked like a duck ball, those guys were still really grateful to be catching passes from Peyton Manning because he was putting them in a position to succeed. Like, let's not even make it modern guys. Let's just talk about guys who have already retired. There's Drew Brees. Drew Brees threw, like, I don't know, like a ton of short passes, right? So it's not like, and they also felt pretty lucky to be catching passes from him. There are plenty of teams where the wide receivers, you see a lot of targets, and it just isn't a good ball. So that annoys me. But that's his agent's fault for telling him that that's a good thing to say.
Visiting with Cynthia Freeland. You mentioned A.J. Barner, and it popped in my head this morning on the New Heights podcast. They had Cooper Kupp and Barner on as their guests.
I love Barner. I'm a big Barner fan.
It was awesome, and Cooper Kupp told the story, and he said, this is the first time I've said this. He goes, the Barner touchdown, we were in the wrong formation. It was a mess up. I was on one side. Shaheed's over there. It's like, we're in the wrong spot. And he said, I see Barner, coming in motion towards me. And I'm like, this is not the right play. This is all messed up. And he says, but he was like, he knew. So this is where knowing the offense and knowing the reason why you're doing things, right? The scheme, but also the reason. What are you trying to accomplish? And he said, knowing the play to Barner and what that was, he said, I have to then adjust. And he took whatever route that he was going to do, that he was going to run. He ended up taking the he had to adjust it to a take 2 post to clear out for Barner, because that's what was supposed to happen on that side. Even though the formation was messed up, it was supposed to allow Barner to be there by himself, which he ended up being because of the play action and slipping by the linebacker. But I thought that was a great story of just like, he knew the reason, he knew the why, and this is for that guy. So I need to do what I can to make sure the play succeeds, even though we're lined up in the wrong formation and it's too late in the play clock to adjust this right now. We got to run it. That means I got to run it, and I got to do what I do to make sure it's run correctly. And by the way, A.J. Barner found out this morning that actually happened too. He didn't know until he was told that it was the wrong formation, and Cooper Kupp ran a different route based on the formation of the why they were running that. I thought it was a great story from Cooper Kupp of here's the play and here's the why.
The value of Cooper Kupp. Like, Cooper Kupp, talk about a guy who could ask for his fair share of targets. I mean, he was also Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
He led the league in receptions first, and he's not sitting there being like, give me more. I don't know.
I know.
I'm annoyed. I got to get over it. I got to get over it. I'm not there yet, though.
I like Taekwon. I like Taekwon. I really do hope the Chiefs bring him back.
I hope the Chiefs bring him back, too, because he's, like I said, it's going to be a very cold day when he's catching passes in Cleveland,
Yeah, I thought there was more of a connection with Taekwon and Patrick in the time he was out there than we've seen ever with Patrick and Xavier Worthy, unfortunately, especially on the deep balls there to Taekwon. So we'll see, though. We'll see what happens. Last one for you, Cynthia. Who wins the Super Bowl next year?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
I need the schedules to come out. I don't think either of these two teams, though.
Yeah, I don't think the Patriots will be there. I think I've said that I think the Patriots are closer. I think the Patriots will be more of what happened to the Chicago Bears mid-2000s with Rex Grossman, and then the next few years sort of trying to figure it out. I think they're closer to that than, hey, this is the new team in the AFC East that's going to be, there with the Bills every year. We'll see. I like Mike Vrabel, but
I like Vrabel, and I do like Drake May a little more than Sexy Rexy.
Sexy
Rexy. But, I mean, I get what you're saying, but like here's my bigger problem with with the entire AFC is that it's just going to be very it's same but different, because it's not like there's a lot of coaches who moved, but like Lamar Jackson's still there, Josh Allen is still there.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow presumably back to being healthy. Let's hope he can stay healthy for a whole season. Like, it's still gonna. Are you gonna ever see a situation again where the gauntlet doesn't run through the main teams?
Yep.
That's my question, and I just don't know if anyone can be like, this is it's Patrick Holmes is done, but no one can say that, and absolutely not. So. It might be really I think if I were allowed to do things that would be like that, I think you'd get some good value on the Chiefs right now if that were something that I knew what I was talking about,
Maybe. There you go. If you dabbled in that as well, who knows?
If I was allowed to,
yes,
I have no idea what I'm talking about, clearly. Because I do my compliance training like a boss. I am really good at my compliance training.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about either.
No one does.
I'm not even aware of what you're even inferring here. This is really weird that you're even bringing that up. It's odd. I'm not sure what the deal is there. But I think that's
that would be a smart choice, because it's the best value you're going to get for it. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Visiting with Cynthia Freeland. Cynthia, thank you so much as always for the time today and this season. It's been an absolute blast, as it has been every year. Thank you again. Looking forward to next year already, and hopefully to catch up periodically throughout the offseason and draft and things like that.
Yeah, we got to talk about draft and combine. I'm here whenever.
Yes, awesome. Cynthia, thank you so much. I really appreciate it as always.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. There's Cynthia Freeland.
Bye.
She's the best. NFL Network analytics expert, weekly on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock. Always looking forward to Wednesdays at 11.
It's sad, because she was always so excited every time I text. It's one of the best guests, because I'll just say, hey, you good? And every time, oh my gosh, yes, can't wait. Like, she's always excited.
Yeah, she's
so easy.
She's so nice. The other ones are like, oh, God, again?
Oh, Jason. Is it Jason or Sterling? Because neither's good.
Yeah. Oh, Michael's hosting? I'm there.
Yeah, Michael's in.
You want me in studio?
I'll fly.
I can fly into studio, even for a 15-minute segment. That's great,
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll do that.
I'm actually going to have to cancel on you guys. Sorry about that.
Yes. She is absolutely awesome. One of our
I do think
favorites.
there's something to be said about the Chiefs having the value right now. If you are that intrigued about, hey, if they're going to bounce back, now might be the time.
They're the sixth betting favorite, maybe?
It's crazy that they're still that high, even after.
Yes, I know. there's value, but man, I don't know if it's
stock market might be better.
Yeah, as good as people would hope.
A Roth IRA might make more sense.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm not a fiduciary guy.
I thought you were trying to say a financial dude.
I'm neither. I'm neither a financial nor a fiduciary.
Sterling puts the FU in fiduciary, because you can't spell fidu without an FU. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you to Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. By the way, 2 receivers this year in the NFL had at least 100 receiving yards on 8 different routes. JSN and Puka Nacua. Like, that's just, it shows the entire tree that those guys can run. It's not a couple of routes. Oh, this guy had 600 yards and 400 of them on one specific route all year and 200 of them on another one.
The
8 routes
Michael
of
Thomas, the slant.
I mean, the
slant king.
The Rasheed Rice, the wide receiver screen, or just a quick throw to the outside. 8 different routes, 100 yards or more for JSN and Puka, which is pretty good. Pretty good. When you can find a receiver like that, as opposed to what it feels like the Chiefs are having a room that, well, this guy will run this route, and this guy will run those routes, and this guy will run that route. I didn't expect Cynthia to be as annoyed with Tyquan Thornton's comments about, wanting to go somewhere where he can get his fair share. She's like, I just don't like that. She's like, I'll have to get over it, but I just don't like it. You're catching passes from Patrick Mahomes. And I get it from that standpoint of who he is or the reputation he has, and to say, well, I'm a free agent. I want to go somewhere to get my fair share. But I think that's probably any free agent, right? That's going to be out there and say, what do I want? You gotta, it's going to be a weight scale. It's going to be the money over here versus roll over there. Do I take more money and less of a roll? More money here where a team says, no, you're going to take the top off the defense and we're going to pay you to do that. Or there's less money and a team saying, well, we want to view you all around, but you haven't proven to be an all-around receiver. This is how we will include you in our offense. This is what we want to do, but we can't pay you as much because of our salary cap situation or whatever it might be. Like, is there a happy medium? And he did say, yes, I can get that in Kansas City. I would love for them to re-sign Tyquan Thornton because he was the best deep threat the Chiefs have had in a while, probably since Tyreek Hill.
He's still young, 25 and a half right now. Again, you know my thoughts. I just think that the Chiefs' wide receiver room was misused. I will keep
Probably
saying
mismanaged.
this, and I think that's why I keep going back to. I think they had talent. I just think that scheme and usage was completely off. And again, I'm not trying to say no more than these guys. They know way more than me. But I think as the season went on, it was pretty fair to say that Tyquan was a guy who should have been taking the Xavier Worthy deep ball role, especially with Worthy's injury and his not quite grown in the ball tracking or at least coming back for the ball to draw penalties. Right, I get high pointing with the injury is going to be tough for your shoulder and all that stuff, but at least trying to draw penalties seemed weird.
Understanding where the sideline is.
Tyquan Thornton should have had that role, and again, I think Worthy personally should have had the Hollywood Brown role.
Yeah.
And
well, I wonder how much moving forward, because I asked her. It came into my mind when people have been talking about the deep ball for Patrick Mahomes and how that is no longer the accuracy or the ability to be as efficient with that particular part of his game as we've seen in the past.
Sure.
And he also has had some rough wide receiver rooms where the deep ball is being thrown to MVS and Xavier and Tyquan and whoever. So I think there is a progression towards the analytics community that is taking the route that the sabermetrics in baseball took with the running game and stolen bases from the defensive standpoint, that controlling the running game and stolen bases went from a catcher stat to more of a pitcher stat.
Sure.
And I wonder if the deep ball percentage, and I think it is heading this way, but I don't know how long it will take to where in baseball it's sort of understood now that controlling the running game is more the pitcher than the catcher. They're running on the pitcher rather than, well, this catcher can't throw anybody out. Well, this pitcher takes an hour to get to home. He's got the huge leg. He doesn't have a slide step. He can't throw over the first.
Unless you're Derek Norris.
That's fine, too.
No, remember, that was the A's
or
Royals game when he had like 9 stolen bases let up at some point.
Yeah. But it was also because a dude couldn't throw over to first. What was
John Lester?
Lester couldn't throw over to first. But also, even when he was out of the game, they were still stealing bases on him. Or the opposite of that being Freddie Fermin. That was just catching everybody.
Yeah. Salvi was to an extent too. Yeah.
Right. But some of that is we see the pitching development for the Royals. Part of that is controlling the running game too.
Correct.
That's a big part of things you learn in the minor leagues. But I think there is a progression, Sterling, of deep ball percentage being more at least viewed more than it has in the past of a wide receiver stat, because that Broncos game, when people have looked at, the deep ball to Xavier Worthy, when he was wide open and Mahomes misses him by about 5 yards in front of him, and it's like, oh my God, how can you overthrow him? Well, when you go back and look at the All-22, Mahomes is releasing the ball, Worthy is around the 50 clearing the safety, and takes 3 or 4 steps where he slows up, and then sees the ball and takes off again. Did Mahomes expect Xavier Worthy to slow up on 3 or 4 steps? Probably not. Should Mahomes have maybe given it more air just to have that margin for error, more air, AIR, for the margin for ERROR, air? Probably. But was that play on Mahomes or Worthy? Because it's viewed as only 100% Mahomes' fault. 100%. That's where I look at more of a view that wide receivers are a part of this too.
Sure.
Not just you dropped the ball. How did you track the ball? Were you running the route specifically the quarterback expected you to run? And then did you catch it? But tracking the ball is a big deal. It's why people are talking about Carnell Tate. It's like, he's one of the best trackers of the football. If you throw the ball deep, he's going to I said he's Andrew Jones in the outfield. The ball's in the air. He's going to know exactly where it's going to land and how to get there.
Sure.
That's a huge plus. But it's also something we talked about that Xavier Worthy did at Texas to a high degree, that he could just track the football like no other. It wasn't just a straight line guy. He was great tracking the football. And we haven't seen that to the level that he was at Texas.
Tyquan Thornton, I think, does a good job
I
tracking
agree.
the ball. I thought he did a fine. And again, this is why it's so hard for me to judge. And maybe I'm easier on Worthy than most, because I was, I don't want to say tough, but my thoughts. I wanted Ladd McConkey at draft time, and
You said Worthy was a bust. You said
did
Worthy
not
is
say
terrible.
that. Come on, no, because then you get people that are actually going to believe that I said
Worthy
that. No.
is John Ross, but slower.
No, I think Worthy was going to be a really fine player, but I thought Ladd could do a little more overall. It was just a different stylistic of a player that I thought fit. But no, I just keep going back. I want to see Worthy without the injury, and I'm not trying to make excuses for him. Now that the season's over, he needs to get healthy. And if next year, even early in the year, he's not high pointing the ball, or he's not coming back for the ball to where he can at least at a minimum draw a flag, then at that point you have to adjust and say that he's not that guy.
I don't even wonder, Sterling, and you've brought up this point a lot, and I have paid more attention and seen it more based on you bringing it up earlier. So
I did something.
Credit where credit is due on that one. I take it a step further, though, and you've talked about this as well, but we're mentioning specifically on the deep balls.
Correct.
Coming back for the ball, maybe drawing a penalty. I think it goes to the overall game for Worthy that we have discussed before, but I think should be pointed out. When you're a basketball player and your teammate throws you the pass, you typically don't just stand there and wait for the pass to get to you.
Correct.
You're coming back to the ball,
Yes.
and you're coming and getting the basketball. There are times when Worthy's going over the middle and the ball's thrown to him and he keeps fading and it's knocked away. And it's like if he just cuts that off a little bit, a little sharper, coming to the ball, he could have done that. He faded on his own. Coming to the ball, that's a reception. Instead, the safety gets there in time and knocks it away. Those are minor details of being a wide receiver in the NFL, and the difference between this was a completion that hit you right in the one, or the safety got there and knocked it down. Because there were a couple of those this year that it's like, dude, you got to come back to the football. You can't just stand there and wait till it gets to you.
And that's not shoulder. That's one where I will not say that's
100%.
not injury related.
That's coaching.
That's coaching.
It's year two he's doing it.
There's a plethora of reasons, and again, I'm not trying to bring up a guy who is maybe the best receiver in football, but Jamar Chase does that better than anyone. If you look at Jamar Chase, he will always come back for the ball, extends his hands out, not a body catcher, and that's what you're looking for is guys who do that. You're right. The basketball philosophy on this is huge. When you are posting up, you don't let the ball come to you. You put your hand out and you try and grab it. If you wait, that ball might get stolen. Put your ass in someone, right?
In rebounding?
But it's just using leverage. Like, I understand that I'm not a professional athlete here, but it's all about leverage. You don't have to be a mathematician to understand leverage. That's why Travis Kelce was not the most athletic guy in the world, but why was he able to always get open? Leverage. Why is Keenan Allen, at his age, at wide receiver, able to always get open? It's leverage. Why is JSN, who multiple times, very athletic, but is the focal point of defense's attention, able to always get open?
Yeah.
He's understanding leverage. And that's where Worthy needs to, I think, expand his game. I think Rice understands leverage to an extent. It's just, can he be consistent with it? Juju Smith-Schuster, understanding leverage. You don't have to be the most athletic guy. It's why, again, not trying to take shots on these dudes, but John Ross or Darius Hayward-Bay, the guys who have all the athleticism in the world but couldn't get open, it's the lack of understanding of leverage and how to use your speed. It's not just straight line. It's slowing down, speeding up, the trickery, if you will. Maybe we'll see with a new wide receiver coach.
Yeah, and Brady did an amazing job explaining that with
Jason's
JSN.
shoulder. That was high level analysis from Tom that I really enjoyed hearing. And again, it all goes to the same conversation of when you played basketball growing up. If you're not playing football, I mean, for me, I was more basketball. When you're trying to cross someone or you're trying to get some leverage, you're not going full speed. You slow down, you speed up, you change direction. You have to have some of those, and we've not seen that from the Kansas City wide receiving core. You can be as fast as you want. Dudes in the NFL, though, the defenders are going to have an 8-yard head start on you. You're not outrunning those guys.
Yep. And game speed versus track speed.
Correct.
Is different. Tyreek had track speed, but his game speed was amazing. Worthy has track speed, and we haven't really seen that translate to game speed where he's just running away from dudes. Some news in Major League Baseball as we take a break. 3 different players in Major League Baseball. Francisco Lindor, Corbin Carroll, and Jackson Holliday all have a hamate bone fracture that all 3 of them will have surgery.
Wow. Bone gate.
Bone gate, yeah. The hamate bone is a pretty big part of the wrist in hitting. If we remember back in February, Blake Mitchell broke his hamate bone, and it was like all season they're like, yeah, his power's gone. Because even when he recovered and got back, it just takes a long time to recover from that surgery. The surgery is 4 to 6 weeks. The teams are saying all 3 of them should be ready for opening day. But again, it's a minor leaguer in Blake Mitchell, and maybe it was an excuse for having a down year. But typically guys that have that injury talk about how difficult it is the first year to get back to being the guy they were after surgery.
Fantasy baseball news right there. So
100%.
Corbin Carroll, Jackson Holliday,
Francisco Lindor.
And Lindor, okay.
All having hamate bone surgery.
Wow.
That all comes out in like the last hour. All 3 of them. It's just odd. Now everybody's reporting to spring training, and they're getting interviews from coaches and GMs and things like that and getting updates, and it's, he's having surgery. Okay, he's going to have surgery. He's having surgery. So maybe not as much of a surprise that it's coming out today. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next. All right, wrapping up this hour. We'll talk with Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report, breaking down the draft, breaking down some things from the Super Bowl. We will talk with Daniel, get his thoughts on a number of these conversations we've had in the show so far. We've had a lot of different things come up that we've discussed, starting with the Travis Kelce conversation, New Heights today. He didn't say anything, but the reports about the Chiefs finding, or at least Chiefs and Travis meeting, maybe discussing that return. We talked about that, the true value of what it would be to draft Jeremiah Love as opposed to somebody else.
If Kelce returns, I'll have to make a new song.
Return of the
Kelce.
I see.
Yeah.
Return of the Killa Trav. Daniel Harms next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Let's talk with Daniel Harms, RGR Football, Bleacher Report. Does a great job covering the NFL draft and the Chiefs in general. We talk with Daniel Harms here on this Wednesday. Daniel, what's up, brother? How are you?
You know, I'm a little disappointed today because it was like 55 degrees yesterday here in Ohio, and now it's back down into the 30s and 20s, so a little disappointed.
Yeah, you know what? It was in the, record temperature on Monday here. Got up to like 76 degrees, record temperature.
Crazy.
And then leaving the house this morning at 33 degrees. So, you know what? It's better than the negative temperature of a couple of weeks ago. Not
Absolutely.
as nice as the mid-70s / high 60s in San Francisco last week. But you know what? Beggars and choosers and all of that stuff, really,
Yeah, just go ahead and lay it on a little bit thicker there.
Yeah, no, it was rough.
Being in San Francisco.
It was rough walking around there. And the weather's great when you don't even think about the weather. It's like you're just out just in it and you're like, oh, that's right. No, it's nice outside. So, yeah, it was nice. But we didn't get a chance to talk to you last week because things got moved around and jumbled. And so I apologize. And that's no fun. I always look forward to our conversations here on this Wednesday. So let's get into it, Daniel. We see the Super Bowl on Sunday, Seahawks and Patriots. Do you anything that you see from that game and you go, all right, this is what the NFL is, and I'd really like the Chiefs to take some time in the offseason and look at this part because this can help them get back to being at the top of the AFC?
I was doing a little perusing on the old Twitter machine today, and I saw something from Nate Tice that was interesting to me because I feel like even though the Chiefs have one of the best centers in football in Creed Humphrey, it does feel like not always just the tackles being an issue with protection, but it feels like sometimes the protections don't get matched up properly to the pressures that we are seeing. And he was making a point about how the next evolution for offenses being attacked is specifically defenses finding what you do in static formations. Now we know the Chiefs are still among the league leaders in motions and pre-snap indicators and things like that, but I don't think that they've really accessed a ton of the pre-snap, like right before you snap the football, or even mixing up their cadence a whole lot. We know Patrick still has an elite initial, right? Like trying to get guys to jump off sides. But I don't feel like they speed up their process very much, or they don't really try to do more with that to get defenses off from being able to identify where they can blitz and create problems within the protection itself. And we don't always see the slides work out either. So I think that's one of the areas that you saw the Seahawks attack a young quarterback in Drake May, who just goes through his progressions exactly the way he's supposed to every single time, because that's pretty much what you're learning at this point. You don't know every single defense. You don't know every single pressure look. So you have to rely on the scheme of the play. You have to rely on the protection as is to be able to execute properly. And I think that Seattle did a really great job on those third downs initially early in the game to tell you how it was going to go by scheming up free rushers and making it so the running back was just wrong always. Unless you're sliding into it, you're just wrong.
It was, watching like the Super Bowls over the number of years with that when Patrick Mahomes isn't winning, Seattle got 53% pressure on Drake May, and almost 50% of that was without blitzing. Like it changes everything on the defense, right? I mean, it changes the math, it changes the calculus of how you can, and you could still blitz off that, and really confuse some things, but it changes so many different things when you've got that luxury.
Yeah, and then obviously, like you just mentioned, that's something we've been talking about for years.
Yeah.
The ability to win with 4 on the defensive side of the football, it just isn't something that you have a ton of unless Chris Jones is doing it for you in Kansas City. And if he's the main focal point of an offensive line, okay, we'll just shift to his side because we don't have to worry about George Karlaftis truly collapsing a pocket, anybody else on the other side, or the defensive tackle. Like, they just don't have to worry so much about that. So that's a whole other thing that we've really kind of hammered home over the past couple of seasons. And I think for the offense side of the ball, when you can choose and decide to just run the ball at will, obviously Kenneth Walker helps, but I think you saw a lot of, really this season, the Patriots had a very good run defense. And what the Seahawks were still able to do to create explosives on top of Kenneth Walker's ability to bounce it outside, he created them through the structure of the play at times too. You saw how many times he would stop close to the line of scrimmage, right, and have time to just kind of sift through the entire play, see where the hole is going to form. How often do you see that as a possibility in Kansas City? It's just never been something that we've seen over the past couple of seasons. Honestly, I think it goes back to the Damian Williams years in Kansas City. Like, that's the last time we saw some of that. So I think those are two big points. We know talent-wise, you're always trying to upgrade the talent of your roster. And I will say that if you looked at the last two Super Bowl winners and the Eagles and the Seahawks, I think you could make a very easy case that they both had the best rosters throughout the postseason. Maybe not the best player, but the best rosters down all the way through. So that's something that the Chiefs also have to kind of get back through to be able to get to that point.
No, I think it's a good point. I think the Seahawks, the second half of the season, it was like I think the best team in the NFL won the Super Bowl. From what we've seen, especially through the playoffs. I mean, they trailed for like a minute in their playoff run, which is just crazy to think about. Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report, does a great job covering the draft. One of my takeaways is that I think Caleb Downs may have the way that we see some of these defenses using their slot corners, their safeties to move into different spots, and Eamon Worry, what he's done for that Seahawks defense. I don't know if it changed anything on Sunday, but certainly feels like, we watch some of those things. It's like, well, maybe Caleb Downs moves up a couple of spots for a team that if the draft was this year and Eamon Worry was a different name for the Seahawks and Eamon Worry was in the draft this year, there's no way he's in the second round. I think teams look at it and go, no, this is the guy we're using, like Kyle Hamilton, like Eamon Worry, like Derwin James. This is the guy we're going to plug in that spot and use him in different ways. I think that's certainly part of what will become different strategies by NFL defensive coordinators. It's just a matter of can you find that guy? Because Spags tried with Connor. He just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, that's a different body type. He's a safety playing nickel, right?
Yeah.
Eamon Worry is a linebacker slash safety who's playing nickel and safety. He can do everything. And I think that's where this discrepancy comes in, because teams defensively still want to play a lot of nickel. But if we're seeing the offensive meta in the NFL shift back to, well, if you're going to play nickel, we're going to bring 12 personnel on the field. We're going to run the ball. Even out of 11 personnel, teams are more willing to run the football in those nickel looks. So you have to be able to identify the players that can play a little bit of nickel, that can play a little bit of safety, but aren't a negative in the run game when you are going to be faced with some of those 2nd and 6, second and or first, even 1st and 10. If you want to come out nickel, you have to identify those players. So Eamon Worry is, I know a lot of people talked about his athletic profile being the main reason for this. It's not the athletic profile. He's a linebacker, basically. He plays the game like a linebacker from the nickel position, and he fits runs well. He identifies those runs well. He can get downhill quickly and also take on blocks. He's not completely proficient as a coverage player. You wouldn't trust him purely one-on-one all the time, but you see the athletic tools overcome some of those situations where he's able to be in the right spot. So as the mental side develops for him, right now he's still winning as a pure downhill demon, chaos creator, and that's what you see. And for guys that are like Caleb Downs, he's not the same athletic body type profile, but the mind part for him is already at an NFL level in my mind.
Interesting.
So you can see the way he identifies passes, the way he identifies the run game, and the trigger to get not just in front of blocks, but he's willing to throw himself down around. I think he's a little bit lighter, around 205 pounds. We'll see what he weighs at the combine, but he still plays the game the way you want to from that position, where maybe he's not a perfect nickel, but he can come down and play nickel, and you're not losing a ton in the run game. So I still think ideally you want to play him at safety, but at the end of the day, you can put him where you want to and still execute your defense. So we have to really see the identifying process for nickels, be able to sift through the guys that are willing and can still maintain run defense from that position. And that's where we're seeing this kind of rift form between defenses that have that player and those that don't.
Visiting with Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report. All right, Travis Kelce, we'll see ultimately if he returns, but I think when we hear on Sunday and Monday from Ian Rappaport and Diana Rossini about, it's heading in that direction, the winds are heading in that way, Diana Rossini, that the two sides are going to meet and see, what the best way to, move forward is. It certainly seems like Travis is going to return. Does it help the Chiefs if Travis is back this year? Is it the time to where this offseason, coming off a 6-11 season, not trying to go to yet another consecutive Super Bowl, right? It's trying to get our third straight, trying to get a fourth straight, trying to get a fifth straight. Is this the time to make the break and say, hey, can't afford you? We're meeting, and it's just not something we're going to be able to do? Are the Chiefs better off without Kelsey or playing this 1 year at a time thing with him?
I think you have to draw a line in the sand a little bit with the monetary side. I don't think you can pay him as much as he's been making personally. I still think he's going to come back and probably take a lesser contract to do so because, one, I do think it's going to be his final year. I think he's going to come back and play one more season, and that's kind of what you're trying to project as well. Is can we really offer you that much money for what we're trying to do right now? And I know that they're going to be able to be fine in creating cap space enough to move around in free agency. There's multiple ideas thrown around there, different ways you can get there. But I think that if you want to reasonably tell yourself that we can construct the roster we need, you shouldn't be paying Travis Kelce as much as he's gotten in the past. I just don't think you can realistically do that. If they do, and they try to extend Trent McDuffie, I mean, we're talking about running it back with almost the exact same crew as we saw last year in terms of monetary spending. And you don't have the draft picks in terms of number to infuse the talent that you would need in that scenario. So I still believe that Travis Kelce will play another season. I also believe that he's going to take a lesser number to come back to do that. And I still think it is within their best interest because outside of Jake Brenningstool, who is an unproven UDFA, who I was very, very high on in the draft process last year, they have not committed any resources to the tight end position. Jared Wiley has been injured and basically a non-factor when he's been out there. Noah Gray just had, in my opinion, his worst season as an NFL player, given the stakes, the contract, and expectations, and they refuse to use Robert Tonyan in any way, shape, or form. So they are not set up to just move on from Travis Kelce unless they bring in somebody like a David Njoku. Like that's the path to going away from Travis Kelce is to bring in a free agent who is going to make I'm not entirely sure the market value for Njoku, who's approaching that like 30, 31 age. But that's what we're looking at in terms of if you want to move on from Travis Kelce, which, again, if he comes back, if he says he's going to play another year, I think it'll be in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform. So
me too.
It's always trying to figure that part out, but they don't have a path clear of Travis Kelce unless they're going to be bringing in a veteran already established in the NFL.
Visiting with Daniel Holmes, I like Noah Gray, but 21 catches, 178 yards.
Not good.
He's $7 million against the cap next year, and it's a $3 million dead cap hit. I wonder, if that tight end room. I think Kelce will be back. I don't know that Noah Gray will be back. I think they may look at it and say we need that $4 million, and we'll find maybe Brennan. We're going to put Brennan in that spot and say $4 million because there are a lot of different. They got to make some tough choices this offseason. That may be one of them.
Absolutely, and I think that there's a path forward to where you let Noah Gray go, and then you bring in a veteran who may be more of a blocking tight end, and then you bring Jake Brenningstool along, and maybe you draft somebody or you bring in another UDFA to fill the room out that way. I still think that might be the best way to go about it, but like I said, there's tons of different ways to get through to that. And I'm still a big believer in Jake Brenningstool. I can't wait to see what he does with a full offseason healthy in this system. And I want to see what he can do as a receiver because that'll give you a really good idea of what you have to do. Not only they already have a pretty good idea of what he does, and we'll see how they feel about some of the younger tight ends, him included, with the way they attack this offseason.
Visiting with Daniel Holmes, RGR Football Bleacher Report. Daniel, I'm glad you went that route because it leads me in to the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about. And coming off the national championship game, there's a player that I've had more and more of a crush on, and spending last week looking at the AFC and NFC championship teams, essentially the Final Four teams and the Super Bowl teams, and how they're playing, the offenses that are more effective against the smaller, faster, smarter defenses than we've ever seen in the NFL, and what's going on there and what the Chiefs have been doing. I have been wanting, a blocking tight end, a Blake Bell type guy. And I have pointed out a number of times, maybe even with you, about the Bills going from 6 offensive linemen in 2024 to then drafting Jackson Hawes so that we don't need that 6th offensive lineman. We've got this guy that is one of the best blocking tight ends in college, and then he gets into the NFL and is one of the best blocking tight ends as a rookie in the NFL. So I've developed this crush And over the weekend, I'm doing more and more research and everything, and I come across this Bleacher Report article about the breakdown of the draft profile of Riley Nowakowski for Indiana. And then I see at the top it's written by Daniel Harms, and I'm like, shut the bleep up, man. So this is a guy, Riley Nowakowski is a guy that I'm developing more and more of a crush on as sort of a fullback tight end type guy, a phenomenal blocker, offers a little bit in the pass game, can catch the ball, scored a touchdown as a fullback in the national championship game. You wrote about him. This is the type of guy that I would like to see the Chiefs look for. Maybe it's as an undrafted free agent, not him, but maybe it's a player type as an undrafted free agent, or they go and get a tight end, or maybe they spend a draft pick on him. Is he like third day, late third day? Is he a guy that can move up in the draft? What do you think of Riley Nowakowski, and what would it take round wise for the Chiefs to draft him?
Yeah, purely based on vibes. Like, I think he's one of my favorite players to watch in this class.
Yeah.
At the position, he is an H-back. He's not going to be a pure tight end. He's about 6'1", and he still is thickly built. That's really what you want to see from that position. About 250 pounds at 6'1", and that's a stout leverage creator. He's got really good technique as a blocker. And honestly, among all these tight ends, quote-unquote tight ends, he's one of the best blockers, pound for pound, size for size. Like, he's just very technically sound. He's going to be a huge teams player. He'll play on all three phases of special teams, and he's someone that just doesn't quit. Like, he plays with great effort, determination, and you can tell with the way that he plays and the way that Indiana identifies these players, that how they all play, that he's somebody that you want to have on your team.
Yes.
So I was very excited getting to watch him before the championship, and then seeing him score was awesome.
Yeah.
But honestly, I would say I have him as a 5th-round grade. That's purely based on H-back value, size, because, again, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, he's just a very technically proficient player. And like you said, he's a good pass catcher. Like, there's nothing wrong with his ability to catch the football. It's just more of your skill set with your size. Where do we rank you? So I see him as I actually comped him to Connor Hayward, who again was one of the H-back tight end fullback hybrids that played with the Steelers for a while, coming out of Michigan State, if I'm not mistaken. So if the Chiefs could pick up another day 3 pick, I think that he's somebody you'd want to target with their with their minimal resources. It's going to be hard to justify it unless he's just the best player you have on your board. And I got no issue with you drafting him. He might be someone that falls into the 6th round, maybe into the 7th round. I don't really know. We'll see how he tests at the combine, if he's invited. Let me actually pull that up, because I do have that in front of me. I don't know if he got invited or not, but he should be. We saw multiple guys doing this for one out of Alabama last year, for now plays with the Seahawks, who just won a Super Bowl. So all of these things being said, he is at the combine. So we'll get to see his measurements, his testing, and all that stuff. He's a really fun player. You guys can go check out, like Jason was saying, my breakdown, my article on him on Bleacher Report.
He was one of 9 Indiana Hoosiers invited to the combine. That's just unbelievable to think about. 9 Hoosiers invited to the combine. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's a good point about the resources, because that's something I was thinking of too. Like, I point out that the Bills drafted Jackson Hawes. They had 9 draft picks last year. So it's a little different than drafting a blocking tight end in the 5th round with only 6 picks. And the number of questions that this roster has. It's a vastly different thing there. But if they were to pick up another pick or 2 somewhere along the line, then that'd be nice, especially from the special teams aspect of it too. Daniel Harms is our guest. All right, I've seen, when it comes to the Chiefs at number 9, if it's not a defensive end, if it's a wide receiver, there are 3 names that have been talked about in town mainly a lot there at number 9. I have my favorite wide receiver in the draft. Tate, Lemon, Tyson are the 3. Who do you look at and put up as your favorite wide receiver? Maybe overall, and maybe even if it's a difference of, this is my favorite wide receiver for the Chiefs, whereas my favorite wide receiver in the draft could be somebody different.
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways I can go with this, but I broke down Mekhi Lemon last week on RGR Football, and this week is Jordan Tyson, the Arizona State wide receiver. If we're just talking best wide receiver in the draft, for my money, it's Jordan Tyson. I know the injury history stuff is concerning, but outside of the ACL injury that he's 2 or 3 years removed from now, he had the collarbone last year, a little bit of a hamstring injury this year. So nothing longevity-wise you're concerned about right away. But again, the combine medicals will still be important for him because of that notion of the negative medical stuff. I'll give you guys a little preview of the breakdown. You can go check it out tonight on RGR Football. But he's exactly what you're looking for from a Z receiver. He can play anywhere in the formation, where exactly what Andy Reid's looking for. A wide receiver that plays X, plays Z, and he plays in the slot. They move him around a ton, motions, screens, down the field ability. In my breakdown, I did not put one single go route in the breakdown. The reason is he won so many times, it wasn't even like there's no reason for me to put it in a breakdown. You can just go watch his highlights to see him winning down the field for touchdowns and then miss touchdowns. Like that part of his game wasn't what I wanted to focus on. I wanted to focus on the man-to-man beating route running, because that's what he's going to bring. He's quick. And the comp that I gave for him was I would say, less physical Jamar Chase. Now, that's a very high projection, right? The reason I gave him that is because when I watched him, the movement style, the way that he moves his body, and not just in coordination with his routes, but after the catch too, he's very fluid. He's smooth. He uses a ton of route details, like at the release. He has at least 4 different effective releases against press man coverage that he uses from time to time. At the top of his routes, he uses what's called the rocker step, where you go right or left and then you break to the left or the right to move DBs, to slow them down, all these different things to make them hesitate. He has all those manipulation tactics in his game already. So he's probably my favorite player in the draft, and you guys can see the full breakdown on RGR tonight.
Yeah, I'm
still of the opinion they need a blocking type wide receiver. Not necessarily a pure X player that only lives on the outside and can only play on the line of scrimmage and is just a George Pickens or go down the field type of player. But, Mekhi Fields out of Notre Dame,
yeah,
is an interesting player as well. He had a great Senior Bowl week. He's physical. He will block, as you have to at Notre Dame. You have to be able to block. And he's big. He's 6'4", can win contested catches on the outside. Again, he's not going to be a guy who wins a ton in man coverage at the NFL level. But, again, that's more of a day 2 player to fit into what you're doing on the outside, to give you a physical presence if you want to run the ball more. And so he's somebody that I've kind of had an eye on. Another kind of asterisk player, I will say, is Josh Cameron out of Baylor. Another uniquely built player, 6'1", 234 pounds, wide receiver. He caught everything at the Senior Bowl, just literally caught everything. He didn't create a ton of separation, but he's physical. Again, when you catch everything, it's hard to ignore that part of the game too. But I haven't even done nearly enough film on the wide receivers yet, but just a couple of guys that caught my eye down at the Senior Bowl, and then the one guy that I think is the best in the class.
Yeah, for me, I'm in lockstep with you. I think the best wide receiver in the class is Jordan Tyson. I think if the Chiefs took him, he'd immediately be one of the best wide receivers in the AFC. Because honestly, the AFC doesn't have the plethora of wide receivers that the NFC does. It's like Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Nico. After that, I think Jordan Tyson would be right there. I think he's that good. I love watching him play, and I just sort of imagine what he would be like. And the catch radius is just unbelievable. The route running is great. I know the injury stuff that was there. He still played 9 games last year. It's not like he's played like 3 games over the last 2 years. And
he gutted out that performance against Texas Tech where he pulled his hamstring and played all the way through to help them win the game. Like that, I love that stuff.
Yeah, I really. If the Chiefs are going to take wide receiver at 9, I am on board with Jordan Tyson. Cornell Tate scared me a little bit in the playoffs, where he wanted none of the smoke from the defense that they were going up against. I can't remember who did Ohio State. They lost to Indiana. And who did they lose to in the playoffs? Did Ohio State lose to Miami in the playoffs? Who was it?
Yeah.
Yes, they lost to
so it was
Miami.
Miami's defense that Cornell Tate just looked like he didn't want to be out there for. That scared me. That worried me a little bit with that. All right, last one for you, Daniel. Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report. Is there a guy, is the combine in a couple of weeks, is there a guy that maybe if he goes out and has a great combine that this time next month, we might be discussing him at number 9, that maybe he hasn't been talked about at number 9? Is there a guy in mind that could fit that bill?
That is a hell of a conversation point, because I think that there are a couple of players that you want to think about. I think the biggest guy that I'm looking at is a Peter Woods.
Yeah, that's the name I thought of. Hey, you're killing it.
Both the Clemson guys.
Yes.
Both the Clemson guys. TJ Parker as well, who had a very good Senior Bowl week, and he's probably closer to that fringe first round right now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think the pass rush capability is there, and as well as if he's a little bit younger, the athletic upside. Also, don't rule out Ruben Bain's teammate, Akeem Mesidor, as a guy. I know he's 25 years old. I get it. The more you'll watch him, I think he might be the best pass rusher in the class. Just on pure talent alone. It's kind of insane how far I've grown on Mesidor, even kind of ignoring the age. So like there's a plethora of players that I think could end up, but because of the need, I think that defensive end guys like that, or defensive tackles, and because Peter Woods kind of needs something to go right for him. He didn't have a great year at Clemson, and he is a little bit of a tweener right now with his size. Playing, is he going to be more of a defensive end for a 3-4 defense, or is he going to be a pure 3 tech? You don't really know right now what he's going to end up being, probably pure 3 tech. But at the end of the day, these guys, I think, all would have interesting conversations at 9 with really good combine weeks.
Yeah, I think if Peter Woods kills it at the combine, I think teams will look and go, I like 2024. We're going to focus on what he was in 24, and maybe not as much 25. We're going to push 25 aside and just say Clemson had a terrible year, and he got caught up in whatever was going on with Clemson this year, maybe behind the scenes. I don't know. We can find different reasons, because scouts can fall in love with somebody and go, no, this is the reason he's going to be that guy. But that's the name I thought of, is a guy who was dominant in 24, had a down year in 25, but the measurables are ridiculous and could be this absolute stud disruptor on the interior that you can see, maybe moving into the top 10. And we'll see if that's the case. Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report. Dan, you're the man as always. Appreciate it, brother. I'm looking forward to the breakdown tonight there at RGR Football, so definitely looking forward to that one. Dan, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother. We'll talk next week.
Thank you guys very much for having me again. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. There's Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report. He's got the breakdown already on Mekhi Lemon at RGR Football, and breaking down Jordan Tyson. And that's my favorite receiver in the draft. And I imagine what he would look like in a Chiefs uniform. Obviously, you'd have to take him at number 9, or maybe trade back and take him. I don't know. There are a number of mock drafts where he's not there anyway. I think he's the best wide receiver in the draft. People are worried about the injury stuff. Yep, certainly that's part of it. He played 9 games last year. He had the ACL 2 years ago. But I think he would immediately slot in as the 3rd or 4th best wide receiver in the AFC and on the Chiefs. Now, it's the AFC. It's Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Nico, and then Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers, Tyreek Hill. Like, Tyreek would have been up there, but Jalen, look at the receivers and what took place this last year in the AFC versus all of the NFC receivers. Like, we talk about the best receivers in the NFL. Look how often we're naming NFC guys. So There's a little caveat with that when I say he will move into one of the best receivers in the AFC, not one of the best receivers in the NFL, although I think he's got, out of the receivers that people are talking about, I think Tyson is the star potential of this guy's dominant player.
AFC has the quarterbacks. The NFC has the wide receivers.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it's broken down. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Mick Schaefer will join us coming up at 1 o'clock. We got some Rotten Tomatoes, and we'll continue. I do want to – I was going to bring this up with Daniel, but we ran out of time, so I'll bring it up next week with him, that we've talked about a little bit of the Trent McDuffie sort of a conundrum that that I think the Chiefs are in. But on the other side, let's talk some college basketball. Mizzou's got a game coming up tonight against A&M. They are 7.5-point dogs. You get a touchdown and the hook. I mean, that just feels like Vegas is saying, put money on Mizzou, please, which is terrible if it's football. But we'll talk about that, what the rest of the schedule looks like. Can they play 500 basketball the rest of the way, which would get them to 10 wins? And if they do, is it a must that they split these next 2 games against Texas schools, A&M tonight, Texas at home on Saturday? We'll talk some college basketball coming up on the other side of the break. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. Thank you to Daniel Harms joining us. RGR Football, Bleacher Report. For the United States, Stoll's the speed skater going through his heat in qualifying for the men's 1,000, which I think eventually will be the gold. I think the medal comes up today. But he and a competitor from the Netherlands were in the final heat, or pair 14 of 15 to see who's going to be moving on. Stoll set the Olympic record in that, and the competitor from the Netherlands finished second in that, up to. Would have set the Olympic record if it wasn't for Stoll's beating him and setting the Olympic record. So there you go. The gold hopeful in that particular event, showing out in the heat.
USA.
That's right. Win the dang thing, right? Win the dang day. Let's do that. Win that. Missouri taking on Texas A&M tonight, and they are in a position over their next couple of games that could go a long way in deciding if they are going to be in the NCAA tournament or not. At Bracket Matrix, they are the last team in the tournament. They are on 50 of 109 brackets. This was updated last night, so not the brackets that came out today, which Lenardi has a bracket that came out today that, is it Lenardi, right? That TCU's in over Mizzou.
Not a full bracket, but he wrote about how with the win over Iowa State, TCU jumped into the last spot in the tournament. Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah, so there are other teams you got to worry about while you're going out and playing, but A&M and Texas are pretty much both in almost everybody's bracket. Texas is lower. A&M seems to be pretty secure. Like I always describe the bubble as sort of three different levels to the bubble. It's like a Venn diagram. There's the bubble on the inside looking out. There's squarely on the bubble that could go either way. And then there's the bubble on the outside looking in, where that's what seems like Missouri's at right now, is on the outside looking in. Texas feels like right securely on it, or right on, and A&M seems like they're on the inside looking out part of the bubble.
Correct.
So Mizzou has a 2-game stretch tonight and Saturday where they head to A&M and they play Texas at home. Now, Ken Pom individually has them losing both games. Tonight by 7, and they are 7.5-point dogs. And then on Saturday, they have them losing to Texas by 1 point, 48%. 50-50 game is what Ken Pom is calling that. If it's a true 50-50 game, I like Mizzou's chances because of how good they are at home, how well they play at home, which is sort of the same reason why I really don't give them much of a chance tonight. That A&M's good, and Missouri has trouble finding it on the road, coming anywhere near playing the way that they do at home. They did in spurts against South Carolina.
They've done it twice. They've done it against South Carolina, and they did it in spurts against Kentucky. But
it is true. They did go to Kentucky and win. That was a big one coming off that Florida win.
That was big. But Ole Miss, they fall. At LSU,
boy,
they fall. At Bama, they never showed up at all.
They got crushed. Well, Bediako played in that one. What are you going to do when you get an
He's now no longer able to play, according to a judge. So does that game become null and void?
Right. I mean, does that take the loss away from Mizzou? Are they going to vacate those wins for Bama, which then if you vacate the wins, you can't give the other team the win, but that team still gets the loss? Whatever. Anyway.
But I'm with you.
He didn't make 26-point difference in that game.
No. I do think Missouri loses at A&M and wins versus Texas. But that's the greatness of sports. We did not think they were going to beat Florida. We did not think that they were going to beat Kentucky on the road.
Yeah.
And they did. We didn't think they were going to lose to LSU even in Baton Rouge, right? So that's the
coming off the home win against Auburn, it's like, okay, now you're heading to LSU, just take care of business. You know what? Split LSU and Georgia. One on the road, one at home, split LSU, Georgia, and you're in great shape.
But that's not the reality, and so if you split, I think splitting at A&M and Texas is what needs to happen. Again, I don't necessarily care which way it happens. Obviously, if you beat Texas A&M, then you start getting a little greedy. Let's be greedy. Why not? I think Missouri can play with most teams in the country. That Bama game, brutal. That Kansas game, brutal. That Illinois game, brutal. They've had games where they have just gotten destroyed But we haven't seen a ton of that since Jaden Stone and Trent Pierce have come back.
It's been Bama, that's it.
It's been Bama. That's been the only game that and that was pretty from the jump. You saw that
Yeah.
was not going to go.
Bama hit that was Bama knocking down threes, and they're incredibly tough to beat. They were 15 of 39 from behind the arc that night, Alabama.
And early on in that game, you just saw. I just felt like Missouri was just rolled over, which you don't like to see, but it happened. At A&M, I don't see that same thing happening. Missouri's playing some really solid basketball right now. I know they haven't beat a lot of great teams, but that gutsy win against Oklahoma, that win at home against Mississippi State, and then going on the road again, bad team, but still going on the road. And I think they played a very complete game against South Carolina. Mark Mitchell's playing very well. We're seeing some different players get more of a role for Missouri. We're seeing T.O. Barrett inserted into the starting lineup, and he's looked great. We saw Trent Pierce. I don't know if that was both games or just one, start over Jacob Cruz, and that was a nice little change of pace. Let me see if that was the one. Yeah, he's back-to-back games, Trent Pierce. I just think that Missouri's finally starting to find some sort of rotation that semi-works.
Yeah.
They're not the most talented team. When you're giving Trent Burns and Nicholas Randall some minutes, you're not the most talented team. But I do think there's about 7 guys that they trust right now, and Dennis Gates is finally starting to find a rotation that is working.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Mizzou, playing for A&M is Rylan Griffin, who, when he plays Mizzou, hits about 16 threes a game.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen him miss a three against Mizzou. He didn't at Alabama nor at Kansas. But A&M is a team that isn't – like A&M reminds me – like when I think of Texas A&M in basketball, I think of like big guys, slower game, post to post, big to big, playing the two bigs, sort of – clogging up the court. Well, Bucky McMillan doesn't play that way.
No.
All right. They
Bucky
shoot
ball.
Yeah, Bucky ball. They shoot a lot of threes. They shoot a ton of threes. They play really fast. They play with a lot of possessions. A lot of possessions up and down the floor, a lot of threes. Let's hit three. Let's shoot three. If we shoot a bunch of threes and get a lot of possessions, we're going to win because our numbers are going to be better than their numbers, which Mizzou has to fight against getting into that up and down, just shoot threes game, because they're going to want to come down in transition and boom, pull up from three, because that's what A&M will do.
And it will not work because
they don't have the 3-point shooters. A&M's got 3 different guys that shoot 40%. So you don't have those guys.
And I think what's hard is Missouri is brutal defending the three. If you watch Missouri basketball games, you will be alarmed at the amount of open threes given up, especially corner threes. Just an obscene amount.
Yeah.
And this is why it's not a great matchup. Again, is Zach Clements also on that team? A couple of former KU players? Right, wasn't Zach Clements?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have Zach Clements. They have 2 former KU players on A&M. Missouri can get in transition and run, but they have to get downhill. It has to be T.O. Barrett getting downhill. It has to be Mark Mitchell getting downhill. One of my concerns is when Mark Mitchell hits a 3 early in the game, well, then he thinks it's the green light. It's almost the worst-case scenario, right? He hits that early one. It's, okay, now that means they get 3 more. And sometimes you sit back and say, hey, maybe just one.
Yeah.
Maybe just one.
Well, and from a size standpoint, matchup standpoint, and, I think the bigger one in terms of the game that they should win is Saturday against Texas. But in a size matchup, Mizzou's got Sean Phillips. They've got Trent Pierce that goes 6'10". They have played a number of minutes this year where Mark Mitchell's at the 4 and Trent Pierce is at the 5, or at least
or 5'4",
5'4", whatever.
Mitchell, you have your
yeah, but if you're just going by strictly height,
Sure,
because
yeah.
Trent Pierce is. Did I say Sean Phillips or Trent Pierce? But Trent Pierce when Trent Pierce and Mark Mitchell are on the floor at the same time, they've got 6'10" and 6'9" out there, whereas A&M has Zach Clements. That's 6'11", but other than that, they play most of their game at 6'8" and 6'6". 6 foot, 6'3", 6'5", 6'6", 6'8".
Which
those
good
are their
luck
5 on the floor.
stopping Mark Mitchell.
Yeah, those are their 5 on the floor. And we've talked about games like this where it's like, man, if Sean Phillips can have a big game, that could be a big difference maker. And he's never really shown up in games like this, where it's like he's got the size advantage, but the guys are quicker. It's more of an up and down game.
It's foul trouble.
Yeah.
He is a guy who is very physical, and with smaller guys, when you're that size, it makes every little bump look more dramatic. And fair or not, that's going to get called. That's what it comes down to. Is I think Sean Phillips has played some pretty good ball. I think he's been a nice piece for this team. He's the enforcer, if you will. He's been a great rebounder. We've seen him, I think, make a few really nice, even left-handed little baby hooks around the rim. But it's just he gets in foul trouble when he gets out in the pick and roll. They get the guard on him, and he just fouls. He just puts his body in you. And at times you're sitting here going, dude, you have the length.
Yeah.
He's going to get by you. We know that. Let him get by you, and you're probably still going to pin it against the glass. That's maybe my most frustration I've had with him. And then obviously Ant Robinson, I don't know what happened to him as far as scoring-wise, shooting-wise. He has the yips, it looks like, and that's very bad for Missouri right now.
He made the switch that needed to happen, which was T.O. Barrett playing over Anthony Robinson, and it doesn't seem like Robinson has responded the way that maybe Dennis Gates was hoping. But
and by the way, I don't think it's I don't think responding in, let's say, a contentious sort of way. I just think in an output sort of way.
Yeah,
I think he struggled to. He's still defending very well. He's still hustling, doing all those things. But I think it's been very noticeable that offensively it has been a ice cold streak for Anthony Robinson.
Yeah, and I think Dennis Gates was probably hoping that, all right, you make the change to T.O. Barrett, you light a fire with Anthony Robinson, and it hasn't been that so far. A&M had a stretch of where they scored 90 points in 4 straight games until they lost by 20 points to Florida on Saturday. And in that stretch of scoring all of those points, every single game they had at least 13 threes made in the game. They went 9 of 34 against Florida. Now the whole live by the 3, die by the 3, whatever. Okay, well, live by the dribble drive flex, die by the dribble drive flex, pack line defense, match up 2-3. Like, live and die by what you do best and maximize what you do best. They had an off night, and they lost to Florida. How did Florida defend them? Something, Dennis Gates can look at and see what the difference was. Why was A&M a team that was, scoring from behind the arc at will for 4 straight games? And then if against Florida, they can't hit a bucket. And, by the way, that was at A&M. That wasn't like, well, it was on the road and a shooting background. You're not used to it. No, that was a home game that they lost by 20 points to Florida, where they went 9 of 34 from behind the arc.
If Missouri plays zone at all this game, I will be ripping my hair out. Because Dennis Gates, for some reason, against good three-point shooting teams, decides now's the time to employ a 2-3 zone, which is just absurd.
Yeah, I think this is a big game for Trent Pierce.
Has to be.
He's going to be the tallest guy on the floor, except when Zach Clements is in the game, and that's only by an inch. They're roughly, Clements has some size on him, he's heavier, but to me, Trent Pierce in this game being 6'10" and can guard, whether that be Dominguez or AG or whoever it might be, like, it's a big game for him because you can go, quote unquote, smaller with Mizzou with Trent Pierce instead of Sean Phillips,
quicker,
while also being big.
Yeah,
while also being bigger than A&M.
Taller and quicker, while maybe having a little less strength. Girth
is what you're looking for.
Ass.
Not as much meat on the bone.
Less ass.
Yeah. Not as much meat on the bone for Trent Pierce, or as much as Clements.
You're right. There's some ways that Dennis Gates can go in this one, but he's going to have to get it right. Just don't rock a zone, and
don't rock that zone, man.
I hate
the cast ball.
I hate the zone that he goes to so much.
Why do you hate the zone? It's a good
because
show.
It doesn't work.
I like the show.
Well, I like the show.
Oh, you were talking about something different. All
I
right,
was talking about.
Totally makes sense. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. I do want to look at if they can go 500 the rest of the way to get to 10 wins, and is it a prerequisite that they win at least one of these next 2? We'll talk about that next. I don't know that they can go 500 the rest of the way. I think minimum 3-5 for Mizzou. Split the next 2 games, Sterling. It gives you, to me, it keeps the 500 over these 8 games alive. Lose both of them, then I think you scratch and claw to 3-5.
Yeah,
the rest of the way, which would at that point be 3-3.
At A&M, Texas, Vandy at home, at Arkansas, against Tennessee, which looks better and better for Mizzou now, at Mississippi State, at Oklahoma, and then you host Arkansas to end. The bad part is the easier teams you play are on the road.
Yeah. Yep. Still got Oklahoma, Todd. Mississippi State. If you can win 2 of those 2 games, it gives you 8 wins. Find
Both
a
on
way
the road, though.
to win 2 of the next 6 for sure. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, Mick Schaefer hanging out with us, presented by Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk. And, we talked about it in the previous couple of segments. I just mentioned at the men's 100-meter final in speed skating that Jordan Stolz, that is going for 3 or 4 different golds in different events. The 1,000-meter final, his heat, he broke the Olympic record. That time stood. He did win gold. The skater from the Netherlands was in the same heat with Jordan Stolz, finished second, got silver. Also would have been an Olympic record if it wasn't for Jordan Stolz breaking the Olympic record. So he still gets silver behind the champion right now. And one of the controversies sort of that took place is the reigning world champion in the 1,000 meter in his heat got bumped late and impeded when he was on an Olympic record pace. Mm-hmm. So he was not on the podium. He was allowed to reskate to do the race over 30 minutes after he raced.
No way.
And he finished like 6th.
Okay.
No, they're like, this is impossible. It's 30 minutes after he just skated the 1,000. Like, you can't ask this guy to go out there and do that. It's like, well, does his time stand if he's, got impeded and he's not going to be on the podium? They give him a chance. You can go and reskate. And it's like he finished like much lower than what he did in the first skate. So
the same rules as horse racing. Right,
well,
where you can't be impeded. Remember that controversy a couple of years ago in the Derby?
But it's the back and forth every other lap. You guys sort of slide past each other, do the
like the demo Derby. You do the figure 8.
Right, and when it's that close, you're sliding past each other at the same speed,
really fast.
And you're going really fast too. So Jordan Stolz, 1 of 1 so far in his attempt to win.
So he got to
golds.
redo the race by himself.
Yeah, he did it by himself. So there's no rabbit out there, right?
Yeah, is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
They said it was impossible.
Well, you get to pick your own song.
30 minutes later.
You get to pick your own song.
Yeah.
You've been thunderstruck.
So the commentator's like, this is like, we appreciate him trying to do this, and he's getting the crowd pumped up and everything. And it's like, this is just, it's 30 minutes later. Like, you just put everything you had out there. You're not going to go 30 minutes later and run and skate faster than what you just did.
How about the Haas? So I've been sick for, I don't know.
Yeah, you
months,
Darren Peterson does on Monday.
Yeah, I did, but I'm here now.
5 minutes before the show, I'm out with flu-like symptoms.
Was it early? I forgot. I'm sorry. I was out Sunday too. I could have let you know way earlier.
You didn't sound off.
Huh?
You didn't sound off.
I did not sound off.
Well, there was no sound off because there was Super
none.
Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even check in for sound off or anything else that day. Been watching a lot of the Olympics. How about the Haas yesterday? Is it Norway? Norland. I think he's from Norland. Doing the cross-country skiing, which is basically a mile in like 3 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever. And he was like running uphill on skis.
Yeah, what was that? That seems
6 minute mile. Everybody else,
cross-country skiing is just
everybody else looked impressive. Like, how do you get up the hill? When he was doing it, it looked like he didn't have skis on. It looked like somebody normally just running up the hill.
They were fake skis.
They
were AI.
Yeah,
That's the whole thing.
But the funny thing is,
he was running up that road. He was running up that hill.
He shut it down for like the last, I don't know, 200 meters or whatever. Yeah. And the American almost caught up. I mean, he was not going to let him do it.
He kept looking behind like, all right, he's not gonna catch me.
But he probably had a 20-second lead on the American. And the American closed within a second.
It made it look a lot closer at the finish.
Buddy, are you
because he
shut this down too early?
He was pacing and he kept. It wasn't like he was pacing and celebrating, and then the American was catching him. He kept looking back.
He was
and pacing,
not worried
kept
about
looking
time.
back.
He wasn't worried about time because he's one of those guys. He's like the Michael Phelps of that. He's going for a Winter Olympic record for gold medals. So he's like, I'm saving myself for some of these other races.
Yeah, for marriage. Is what he was doing. Married to the game. You know what I mean? And trying to get the golds. I had to download because I like the Olympics, but I think at the beginning it's just there's too much. It's overload with when's this happening, when's that happening, what's going on that
100%.
time. And so I had to actually download the app and then put in the events that I cared about watching.
Well, that's
and
cool they have that.
It'll give me notifications like, oh, this is coming up. Like the speed skating. It's like, hey, 11:30 is the gold medal men's final. Okay, great. I can keep track of that.
Here's what I'm going to enjoy about the Olympics coming to L.A. in 2028. it's not that it's going to be in the U.S. That's great, but it's going to be in a time zone
Yes.
close to us.
Yeah.
95% of the time, this stuff is. I'm like, is it live? It's daylight
Right.
there. Wait, what time is it there? And
Yeah, you
usually
tell me,
half a world
NBC.
away. Actually, I know, right? Milan actually closer than a lot of these
it's only
Olympics.
5 hours
Yes.
ahead,
Yeah.
so it's not.
Only.
Not, I mean,
A lot of times
compared to
it's
like
18,
yes.
like in Australia or
Right.
Korea or something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, compared to some of the other ones, like figure skating is actually taking place like in the afternoon because it takes place so late at night with that. So it's
NBC's pretty good. They've got the coverage for you. If you're a junkie, I want it live at 3 a.m. or whatever. And then they package it up for the regular, the casual people. Like, I just want to watch this in prime time. What's the best stuff that happened today? I haven't looked at my phone.
And if you're Mike Tirico, you call the Super Bowl,
That
and then
was
afterwards
unbelievable.
you go on the field, and then you host the Olympics
So
tonight.
I was listening, and I'm like, okay, he clearly voiced this before the Super Bowl because they know what they're going to have packaged.
Right.
They're like, all right, read this lead in into figure skating. Read this lead into skating, whatever. And then all of a sudden, they cut to him on an empty
live.
field. I'm like, really, NBC?
He's live.
You
doing
can't
that.
give him a break after the Super Bowl?
I remember
That's unbelievable.
I was we were covering the draft or something out at Arrowhead, and we were in the media workroom, and I remember this because Adam Teicher's reaction. So we're in the media workroom, and you would do hits from time to time there to back to the station.
Hits of what?
Hits of TV.
TV, that's
okay.
right,
Hardcore.
or radio. So you'd go on and do the, hey, this is what's going on out here. And so we were there at night, and the draft and everything. The Royals were also playing, and I was post game for the Royals on 810. So we do all the different stuff. The game ends. I put the headset on. I was like, all right, welcome to post game right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Royals.
Nice.
And Adam Teicher does this slow turnaround like, are you hosting a Royals postgame and you haven't watched a second of the game? Like, that's right,
much.
Adam. I've got the box score right in front of me. Box score right in front of me, and let's talk Royals
Jose
postgame.
Lima was dealing tonight.
It was-
Gave up only 6 runs.
Yeah, so I know exactly what Mike Tirico's going through. Exactly the same thing as me just simply covering the team there, not actually talking, where he's calling the Super Bowl and then has to host the show right after.
That's it's got to be a first. Is that a first?
Yeah, for me to do the yes.
For anybody to do a Super Bowl and then roll into Olympic coverage.
Do Olympic coverage.
It has to be it's a NBC thing.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I guess it was the last time they had the Super Bowl as well. So maybe it happened with the Olympics. Maybe he did it then too. But that's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty good. He's really good at what he does, despite the fact that he went to Syracuse.
Syracuse.
Now
he's given all that he's supposed to. He's the same way. He was not paying attention to the Olympics. They just turn on.
Yeah,
There's
right.
Probably a teleprompter on that, and he had scripts and all that stuff. But it
would be funny if like
it
he's
takes a lot of
calling-
talent and more just it's exhausting. You had
Yeah.
to. I mean, I bet he was up at 6 a.m. prepping all day for that Super Bowl. After prepping for 2 weeks for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into that.
Yep.
There's so many plans. There's plan A, B, C, all the way down to Z of like, okay, if this happens, this happens. They'll make 100 graphics and use 5 of them, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was impressive to see.
Yeah, Mick Schaefer is with us. He showed up with flu-like symptoms, unlike on Monday. You're good. You're not contagious anymore.
I haven't had a fever in 2 days.
All right. So there. Oh, so you could have come in on Monday. Jeez.
It was Monday night.
Oh,
I'm
I see.
counting.
I see. That's fine. That's totally fine. Right around the KU and Arizona game is when you no longer had a fever.
Once his powers were taken away, I got mine back. We kind of share things. We're
That's
like
right. You had cowbell. You just
that movie with Kevin Durant when he loses his powers to the kid or whatever.
That's the one.
Thunderstruck, right? Is that it?
is that
Like
was it?
Mike?
No, I think it's.
I think it is Thunderstruck because
Remember
he
Like Mike,
played for
though?
the Thunder.
Yes, yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was the shoes though.
Yeah, those are shoes.
Those were the shoes.
A lot like
Space Jam also
18
took
again
powers.
or Freaky Friday.
Oh yeah, those things. Yeah,
Face Off.
That was a good one. I'm just gonna
Exact same.
Which is something that all you got to do is take the skin from one person and place it on the other person's face.
Can't believe we don't do
and
that
it's
more.
the exact
I can't
same
believe we don't do that.
face.
And we go back and forth with that skin.
What an absolute absurd concept of a
Seems-
badass movie.
Seems healthy, too.
Yeah.
No issues.
I don't see how anybody could tell the difference.
Oh God, what a
The
great
Frankenstein
movie.
faces.
I freaking love that movie though, man. It's such a good movie. Because they also had to face off against each other.
did,
So, it was I didn't know if you knew that, Sterling.
Yeah, you proud of me for pulling? I'm the one that brought up Face Off. You proud of me for that?
I didn't know if you knew what the movie was about. So that's good.
I
Mick
think
Schaefer.
Somehow it's all in that title.
It's
Face
weird,
Off is all in the.
Is it
Well,
Family
part
Guy?
of Face Off.
Is it Family Guy that had the cutaways of when they would actually say the name of the movie in the movie? Like, they did it. They said the name of the movie.
Superman 3: The Return.
Is that what?
And that's why they call this Superman 3: The Return.
He said it. Mick Schaefer is with us. Mick,
Yeah.
Kansas just shut down Darren Peterson moving forward and say my team's on the floor like the overrated Hoosiers movie, or I'd like to slip that one in there, or you know what? He's the number one pick in the draft. He's incredibly talented. You just deal with it. And he sometimes will play, and sometimes he'll have
this is
a
nothing
bug
new.
for
Monday
the
was
third
nothing
time.
new. Yeah, sure. No, this is nothing new. It'll continue on. They've worked it out well so far to this juncture. So, yeah, you just keep rolling with, his load management or whatever's going
Do you,
on. Right,
do you
whatever.
call him Limp Biscuit? And just keep rolling.
I think so.
I thought you were
was gonna
saying
say,
his ability to fight through something. He was sort of like Limp Bizkit.
Kind of
Just
a
he
Limp
wasn't
Bizkit,
as tough.
Yeah.
Well, so far he hasn't break
shown-
stuff. I was trying to say break stuff, but he hasn't really. He's not doing it all for the. Can we say that
Maybe
word?
he is, I don't know.
On air?
I hate because this is going to set a precedent. There's going to be another Darren Peterson. Someone's going to look at this and be like, "Hey, he pulled this and was still the number one pick in the draft.
got a crap
That's what
ton of
I'm
money."
going to do."
It's very
And-
rare, though.
and there's-
the last one was like this was.
I've never seen. Well, we've had one like this.
Well,
Kyrie.
but he broke his foot. He didn't
Yeah.
everyone. He didn't 5 minutes
Yeah.
multiple times.
We've never seen this.
Right before the game, Bill Self has talked about. Oh, we thought he was going to be here.
And it's not necessarily just the athlete coming up with it. It's going to be an agent be like, okay,
Zion in
this
the
is your.
NBA.
Well, I mean, there have been talk about that it is the agent. There's also the report out there that his agent's the same one as Joel Embiid. And Embiid was like, hey, maybe shut it down so you can be the number one pick. You don't need to play in the tournament here.
Generation ago, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the same guy, then there would be some questions around
and just,
that.
I mean,
but
just with Embiid, I mean, his back was shaped like a question mark, right? I mean, he had foot issues too.
it was a question mark.
I mean, it was there were medical reports out there. There was legitimacy to all this. Like, okay, yeah, and maybe that's part of it, right? Hey, I'm going to be a big. Although Embiid did not come in with star-destined greatness.
No, he came from Cameroon, and he was a soccer player.
Wiggins, of course, was the guy on that team that was going to.
He was the number one pick. Number one pick.
And he played the whole time.
Yeah.
And famously, his mom said, "What was?" When they asked her what the best part of the season was, she was like, "I'm just glad he didn't get hurt."
Yeah.
Best part, right? Yeah, and
But
that's-
but
because
he
they
was-
weren't making $4 or $5 million like Darren Peterson.
Isn't
is.
it funny how
I mean, at least we didn't know publicly
it's
that
funny
he was making that money. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the how it works of you end up playing less or not playing as hard when you start making more money. You would think it'd be the opposite. When you start making money, you would think, "Oh, I'm playing harder because I'm earning this." No, it's the opposite.
I got paid a little
got
bit.
paid, so I'm like, yeah, I'm sure done.
And so as far as the
Nobody
number one,
plays harder than the guys that don't get paid. So,
yeah, I mean Melvin Council plays as hard as anybody, and I brought it up on Monday, and I just enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, he
or
looks like
Tuesday,
the guy.
I should say.
He would have played this hard 5 years ago when nobody's getting anything.
No,
Yeah.
I was joking yesterday with Meyer, and I said, on February 9th, 2025, Melvin Council was scoring 11 points as St. Bonaventure lost to George Washington to fall to 5-7 in the A-10.
Yeah.
1 year later, he's doing that on that stage against Arizona at Allen Fieldhouse, and maybe the greatest environment in Allen Fieldhouse history. That Bill Self and Greg Gurley and said, yeah, it's the best I've ever been involved in.
I marvel at how many Melvin Council stories there are in college basketball. Who's the guard for Florida last year? Just took over the tournament,
Walter Clayton
and he
Jr.
came from Iona or something like that.
Walter Clayton. What
Yeah.
about? I mean,
And the big guy. The Auburn big guy last year led him to the Final
Janai
Four.
Broom.
From Morehead State.
Yes, and there's, I mean, all these teams
Great state.
have Melvin Councils, and it's not just smaller D1s. It's the Iowa Bearcats, right?
Bennett Sturts.
And those other guys that were 2 years ago playing for Northwest Missouri State,
Yes.
and here they are on a tournament team for Iowa, a team that's about to get ranked. They might have been ranked this week, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Liberty Boy, not really ranked. And
Cassius Robinson coming from where? Was it
Yeah.
Canada or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Where was he at? He was at.
Their stories are all over the place, and so
yeah,
and you cheer for those guys, and so
all Bennett did was drop 38.
I think this is. It feels like KU basketball is back. By the way, our new podcast with Greg Gurley, Between Two Fountains, took us literally 8 months to come up with that title. We talked about it this morning. You can find it on Kansas Nation through the 810 network.
Yeah.
It feels like Kansas basketball's back. It feels like KU basketball's back for the first time since 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Those games we've seen now in Fieldhouse, we haven't seen those the last 3 years.
Bill Self has his fastball still.
This is I think his best coaching job in a while.
Yeah.
And the Darren Peterson. I mean, you're having to coach two teams, and something that I've talked about, like I've put out there, and I still think it might be a deal, but you haven't seen it. How's there not been a rift between, those senior dogs that go out there and play 40 minutes every night for you, and Trey White and Melvin Cancel, and you still have, the freshman star player that's getting all the attention that kind of he'll play when he wants to play, and that's it. How has that not broken up the locker room? It hasn't. In fact, they're playing the best basketball they played in Lawrence in 4 years.
Myron on yesterday said that the win over Arizona, in his mind, moved Bill Self into number one of the National Coach of the Year category. And it's like, well, Bill Self, he can't win Coach of the Year because
a month ago I was worried about this team not making the NCAA tournament.
They were a crazy comeback against TCU from starting 0-3.
0-3.
And they've done is won 8 straight now. Since that crazy comeback. As far as the Darren Peterson and the number one pick and all that stuff, Jeff Goodman on Monday night, towards the end of that game, tweeted this out, and this will tell you all you need to know about what the view is of Darren Peterson in the NBA. An NBA GM told Darren Peterson, or told Jeff Goodman about Darren and him not playing that night. Quote, "I think people are overreacting. I don't know if anyone has enough info yet. It's not that big of a deal to me if he can play the last month of the season. We've got guys in the NBA who missed 2 months with a strained hamstring. A lot of guys would have shut him down for the rest of the season already. People have to pump the brakes. People get the flu. People also have to remember this is just a small snapshot of his entire career. I think he's still the number one pick, but we'll see." Which is a GM telling Jeff Goodman, oh, we don't give a bleep.
They don't.
Oh, he plays or doesn't play? We don't care.
They can't possibly. Otherwise, he wouldn't be still the number one overall pick.
We do not care.
They don't care. And
he
that's
plays,
the
he
agent's
okay.
plugged into that.
Cool.
And he realizes we're not rolling the dice on anything here.
Yeah, that's an agent.
We're
just
not
telling
throwing
you,
up a red flag to the NBA.
Yes.
It's funny. It was so, I can't remember the other athlete. It was Lindsey Vonn. There's some other athlete that in the Winter Olympics that had some crazy like ACL tear or something like that is playing through it. And it was a male. I think it was another skier or something like that. And they listed Lindsey Vonn, torn ACL. I'm just going to go out there. This guy's going to go out there. NBA player, I can't play tonight. Why? I played last night.
It was funny, although we know the Olympics every 4 years. But it's funny.
It's a little different. I mean, Olympics is every
It's
4
funny that
years,
the
absolute
It's
highest.
not like she's only skiing every 4 years.
The Olympics
no, I know,
every
but
4
that's
years,
the only.
though.
That's the. Yeah, she wouldn't do it for a practice. She's going to do it for the Olympics.
Yeah,
I don't know that.
Darren Peterson, he's probably going to play in a regular season game at the college. He's going to play out for 1 year. But if this was the NBA Finals, he's probably playing through it.
We know that for sure. We know that for sure.
No,
we know that
but
for sure.
I think
because
there's a
we're
big difference.
just bringing up pros right now that they're too good to play in regular season NBA games.
right, but not
That's the
necessarily the
playoffs.
playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
finals.
So now it's like, okay.
Well, yeah, dude. There's always
that
a
doesn't
difference.
matter.
Yes,
Well, yeah,
because
'cause
week
load
3 of
management
the
is for
NBA,
that.
week 3 of the NFL season. Versus, you think Patrick's
What's
playing?
the
through
money for then? What's the money for if it's okay not to play?
Do you think that Patrick would have played through that high ankle sprain that he played through in the playoffs if that was week 3?
Yes. 100%.
I don't think
There's
he
never
would've
been
let
an
him.
easier question in my
I don't know
life.
that he would have.
I don't think the team would have let him.
Patrick
yeah.
Mahomes,
Yeah, the
ultimate competitor.
I think they would
He's
have
had
probably
that
told
stuff
him.
every year he plays through it.
I know,
Dude,
I
you're-
think that one is a little bit different.
Are
just of
you
how
kidding
severe
me?
it
He
is.
came back in a week and a half
Yeah.
from a dislocated kneecap. Are you kidding me,
Wasn't
Patrick
a week and a
Mahomes?
half. It was
Bad
3 weeks.
example there.
It was
Other
3 weeks.
guys, no.
Dude.
I think
You
regular
really
season.
don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to play through an ankle sprain in the middle?
the one he had in the one he had in the playoffs. No, I
First of
think
all,
he would've
football's a
said-
bad example too because one game is a much bigger sample size
But that's the
than one
Olympics,
game in
though.
the
The
NBA.
Olympics.
But that's
Yes,
the Olympics.
that's
One
also the point
Olympics
we're
is
making.
every 4 years, as opposed to the NBA.
82
I
games.
think the it made it funny because of the joke of I played last night. That was hilarious. I did like
great. The reality
I did
of
like
it's
that.
I mean, if only
Not
there were
fair.
examples in the past of NBA players, playing entire seasons. If
there
only
were.
there were the examples.
I don't argue
I know, but
that.
it's
Yeah,
the same thing.
I
as
mean, why do you
pitch-
defend it though?
But it's the same thing as
because
pitchers,
it's
though.
reality.
Because I don't
Well,
want
I
a
mean,
pitcher.
why is it reality?
But I don't want a pitcher going out there throwing 150 pitches just because he can that night.
Yes.
So that's
load
the
management.
same?
Yes, it's load management. It's load
So that's
management
the
on his
same.
arm.
Legit load
It's
management.
load management on his arm. He throws every 5 days, but once he gets to a certain amount of pitches, even though, well, he could probably throw another 1 or 2, but we're getting him out of here. Why? Because we need him the whole season and in the postseason. Postseason Game 7, Madison Bumgarner's. Why didn't Bumgarner pitch
So
every couple
how
of days?
how many games a year should a basketball player play in the NBA?
I don't have that. It all depends on body type. All depends on the team itself.
So not 82 though.
Oh, in a perfect world, they'd play 82.
Yeah, I mean,
in
how
a
many
perfect
baseball
world, they
players
could do
play
that.
162?
A lot. I mean, like
don't know a
like
lot,
one
but-
of every team, whatever. Maybe or close to it, right?
So
They're out there.
125th, 140th.
I don't think there were 30 guys that played. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, though. I haven't looked.
That's
to be
weird.
honest
You're
with you.
defending like guys just.
I'm not trying to
Taking
defend it. I'm just,
the
but
night off.
I understand it. Defending it and understanding it are two different things. I understand why. You have to understand the why that it's a long.
Yeah, they're getting the
season.
money regardless.
No, of course, but
Yeah.
also what matters more, week 3 or the playoffs?
I get it. I just think I in this whole argument, one thing I'll take away: Patrick Mahomes is absolutely playing through an ankle sprain in week 3.
I think when he came out and said it was 3 months before his ankle was healed, I think shows the severity of that one compared to the one that he had in 2019 before the knee injury. Because he had that ankle injury in 2019, which sitting out helped that heal. I think it says more about him playing against Cincinnati and Philadelphia that I think he probably would have missed a game or two for them just to say, it's the regular season. This thing will last all year if you don't just miss this game and let it rest, or miss a couple weeks and let it rest and try to get back, because this is not going to heal if you keep playing every week.
Correct.
I don't know. I would not bring up the guy who's never missed a game outside of the knee. Right? Never missed a game with all the ankle stuff.
I mean, he's missed week 18s.
He has missed week 18s. That's right. And I bet he was pissed about it.
You know what that was? Load management.
That was a lot of little management. That was like, let's not be the stupidest team ever and like, play him there.
Load management, though.
I
know.
mean, he would
I
have been
know.
fine had he played and not hurt, right?
I know.
Taking on that load.
Yes, I know.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know these.
Mark that, by the way.
Triggers.
So good.
NBA guys here. Yeah. You lived in Philly, I heard, for a few minutes. And you love LeBron, I've heard.
This guy's wearing a Kansas
Got him.
City Kings hat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hey, they
back
played,
when they played 82.
games.
Well,
Did they have
whatever they
82
had
in the season? Yeah.
whatever they had.
They played in 2 cities, Sterling.
Yeah.
They probably played in Omaha one night and Kansas City the next night.
Yeah, that is
wearing
still
home jersey,
so funny.
home jerseys
Yeah, that's
both times.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's a back-to-back road nights
Yeah.
in the NBA. They don't do that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Rotten Tomatoes. We'll play that. Should we play that?
Let's go.
We
I
haven't
watched
played that
some-
in like 2 or 3
watched
weeks.
the movies the last few days. Yeah.
I bet you have
Got
watched
some.
the movies.
I got
Yeah.
some.
Let's do that coming up next. All right, here we go with some Rotten Tomatoes on a Wednesday. Mick Schaefer hanging out with us, presented by. Oh, there you go. That's three letters. There you go. You've clearly looked that up though before, because you play that every day.
What's that?
Roblox.
Oh, I was saying look below Roblox.
Oh yeah, that right there. Yeah, yep. I'm telling you, I've never
played Roblox or Googled Robert Irwin.
Yeah.
I don't know what Roblox is.
Oh, really?
It's a video game.
Video game that
Kids
there are like
do.
millions of games on the video game. So like it's a community that can create their own video games and people play it, and it's
Kind of like a Minecraft thing.
yeah, I guess sure. So it's not like Rotten Tomatoes though.
Yeah, baby.
nothing like it, because we watch movies when we do Rotten Tomatoes. So we'll go ahead and get into our Rotten Tomatoes. We'll see what the themes are with everybody. Who wants to go first? Michael, okay, you go first, buddy.
I chose baseball because spring training is right around the corner, so my first movie is Moneyball.
Okay, wow, I've heard of that one.
Me too.
I'm not as big a fan of this Michael movie.
The categories aren't, or the movies aren't great today.
Damn
Well,
it.
they're good movies, but
Oh, are they?
didn't.
Who was
dig
it?
too deep.
Scott Hatterberg? Just play him.
Carlos
and you win?
Pena.
Yeah.
It was Scott Hatterberg, right? It's
Scott
Chris Pratt.
Hatterberg.
Yeah.
Yep. It is
play him and you
incredibly
win.
difficult. It's easy to play first
Learn-
base. It's incredibly
Watch them.
difficult.
It's incredibly difficult.
It's not that. That's what it is. It's not that difficult. It's incredibly
incredibly
difficult to play first base.
Um,
What did the
so-
critics think of Moneyball?
for Moneyball, that's me. I'm going to do. I bet they liked it enough to say 78%.
That was the number I was gonna say.
No
That's
way.
crazy. That's
No
weird.
way.
We both get a 2 points.
Oh my goodness! Why?
Because we were on the same number.
Cool. 84.
Ooh, which way are you going to go?
75.
94.
Yeah.
Wow,
That is
that's a
me.
high number,
But
man.
was it a cult class? 84.
88.
81.
I don't know why I made you guys guess. It was 86, so Jason got it right away.
No, 84 and 88.
Yeah, what do you mean?
86
It's 86.
was right in the middle of 84 and 88.
Oh, so
Yeah.
who gets a half
It's a half point.
Sorry,
Half
that
point.
I
Why
had
did
a
you say
stroke there.
87?
Yeah, why didn't you say 87?
Just in case it was going to be 90 something.
Well, that makes sense. It
You
cost you
would've
half
still
point,
won.
though.
Oh, I didn't know what you were going to do.
Still cost you half point. 1.5 to 1/2 for Sterling. Mick, your first movie.
All right. Deliver Me from Nowhere chronicles the making of Bruce Springsteen's 1982 Nebraska album, starring
this the
Jeremy
new one?
Allen White.
Yeah, new one.
yes.
I'm going to say that the critics who love Bruce, I'm going to say this is like an 87.
I've never been a big Bruce Springsteen guy.
Well, you weren't a critic, so
But critics love these for some reason, even if they're wrong. 82%.
79.
See the lowest?
yep.
Yeah.
61.
Wow,
you
how
had
about that?
the same mindset I thought.
Yeah.
61%. I was
Maybe the
shocked.
critics are tired of these. They're
Okay.
all the same thing of struggling guy,
So
and
then
it's
you're up
like,
then.
I'm going to make it big.
But did the viewers, did the fans?
I
the
got to believe in
popcorn-
myself.
Popcorn. I don't think that's how
I'm
Jeremy Allen
dancing
works.
in the dark. 73.
I think they liked it. I'll say 83.
You son of a gun.
Ding, ding. 82. 82.
I was
So
going to
he
go
gets
like
one.
84. Dang it, nice job.
That's one. It's one of the worst
Michael got
movies
both
I've
of
ever
them right.
seen in my life, and it might
Really?
have made me sicker.
I almost watched it on
It
the
is
plane.
so boring.
Yeah,
if you
thank
want to
God.
cure for boredom, do not watch that.
Oh.
I think his music can be fairly boring, too, personally.
Agreed. I don't know what they were doing. Like you said, it's the same trope of like rebel musician gonna put his album out the right way or the way he wants to, and the bad studio they want to do their
bad
canned
studio.
whatever. Nothing happens, and like he deals with his own demons, but like his demons aren't even like that big. He's got like a case of the sads. Like his dad, like is an issue, but his dad. He drank too much, but he like wasn't abusive or anything. There weren't big like episodes or anything. It was just like he would go and they would cry together.
Hasn't Bruce sort of come out and said like, oh yeah, no, he kind of lived a pretty decent life. Like he wasn't necessarily a tortured person.
yeah.
You got me orange juice with pulp. I
Yeah.
specifically said no pulp.
It was awful. I mean, and it felt like what was the one Timothy Chalamet, Bob Dylan. The least stuff happened in there, and they played music. They don't play hardly any song.
Oh, really?
You hear "Born in the USA," get recorded, and that's about it.
Well, because they've
You
done
don't
all
even
the,
play,
they did all the interviews like with Jeremy Allen White. It's like he learned to play the guitar. And he's singing
Yes.
like he sings all
Yes,
these songs.
He sings
and,
them, but you don't hear much of it.
Interesting.
And then like Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen,
yeah.
was awesome because you
loved
hear
that
all
one.
the songs.
I
and,
loved that one.
Remy Malek is amazing
Yes.
in it, and a lot of stuff happens. This is bad.
Interesting. And I really like Jeremy Allen White,
I do,
too.
too.
I almost watched it on the plane, but I guess I could have gotten some more sleep had I done that.
That's right.
All right, my first movie is, well, what's going on right now? A smug and overly self-assured downhill skier, David Chappelle, played by Robert Redford, joins the American ski team and quickly makes waves with his arrogant behavior and even flashier maneuvers on the slopes, falling into conflict with the team's coach, Gene Hackman. My skier's out on the slopes. A rivalry also develops between David and Johnny Creech, Jim McMullen, the man who is considered the team's best skier, as both push themselves and each other in a race to the Olympic Games. It's called Downhill Racer, and it came out in 1969.
I can't wait for your next one to be Cool Runnings. I guarantee.
It should be Out Cold is what it should be.
You guys better not look that up.
I'm not, but
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
assuming it's going to be Cool Runnings for Jason next.
Well, of course it's going to be.
This was 1969. I know none of these
Nice.
people. I don't know anything
You
about
don't
it.
know
You know
Robert
Gene
Redford
Hackman?
or Jane
Oh, I know
Never
those
heard
people.
Gene Hack- yeah, okay.
I
thank
mean, I didn't
Robert
know the
Redford.
movie or the.
Okay,
I've never heard the movie. But they like those people. 84%.
No, that's over. It's 85. So Sterling
Wow.
got it.
The
84, 85.
The less he knows about a movie,
The better I
he's
am.
going to do.
Yeah.
They like Robert Redford and Gene Hackman, but was it a cult crapsick? Did they like it or hate it?
I don't like that you said that. A crap sick.
Well, because it was
Was
already
bad?
85,
I'm
so it
gonna
can't be a
say-
cult classic
I'm
if it's
gonna
already at
say
85.
It's 72.
Okay.
I haven't heard of this, so it wasn't hugely popular. I'm thinking You
Over
said
1,000 ratings on the
I'll go
popcorn.
65. I'll go that way.
What did Darcy say?
72.
75.
McShafer, 56%.
Wow.
56%.
You subtly gave it away that it was.
Well, no, because we always do like, is it 20%? So therefore, is
he
it a
meant,
cult
like,
classic?
Is it going to be worse
Cult
than the
classic
deal
means it's
instead of
way better than what
Yeah.
the critics thought.
Oh,
Is it a cult crapsick means that the critics loved it and the fans hated it. Sterling, your first movie.
What do the Chiefs need to do in free agency? Well, they need to get a running man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they
all
need a
right.
guy who can run the football. The running man. In the year 2019, which has already passed,
Mm-hmm.
America is a totalitarian
You got it.
Yeah.
Totalitarian?
state where the favorite television program is The Running Man,
Can you
a
spell
game
it?
show. You got to run to freedom. The Running Man.
Is this the new one or the? You might have.
This is
already
the
said
original one. This is the
can't-
1987
Yeah, take a point away if you can't say totalitarian.
totalitarian.
Good job.
This was the great line when that I use a lot when it's Arnold when he says, "I'll be back," and then only in a rerun. I'll be back. Only in a rerun. All right, Michael. What did the critics think?
I've never heard of it.
Oh
65.
my
Whoa,
God,
dude.
jeez.
Wow.
Read a book.
Even Sterling, who never hears of stuff as
He's
hard
like,
as this.
Running Man? Yeah, no, it was just out of theaters. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm very excited to go and see it.
What year was this one made?
87.
Okay.
What did he say?
I can't
I
remember.
said 65.
Okay.
75.
78.
Darcy, 59.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised. I was going to be
Yeah.
a little higher than that.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I didn't.
But was it a cult
I don't
classic?
think it was. So am I up? Okay.
Yeah.
What 60? What was it? 8 was the
59%.
59. Oh, geez. I'll go 55.
Dang. 64.
Is a gamble 38.
61.
Oh,
Jason
yeah.
gets it. Could have been.
What'd you have?
Huge.
64.
Oh,
He
dang
could
it.
have done 3 less and nailed it.
Man, you're so
The
stupid,
running
Darcy.
man.
Darcy has
Don't
3.
even 38.
The Chiefs need
I
a running
like
man.
that roll of the dice though. That was good.
Yeah. Darcy has 3. I've got 2.5. Nicholas
one,
has
maybe?
1.5. And Sterling. Oh, wait, you and I.
Yeah, I didn't
I
share
put it on the
one.
wrong one. So Mick has 1. Sterling has
good.
1.5.
That's a good number.
Yeah, so there we go. All right, Michael, your second movie.
My second movie is The Rookie with Jim Morris. Dennis Quaid never made it out of the minor leagues before a shoulder injury, ended his pitching career 12 years ago. Now he married with children. He's a high school chemistry teacher and a baseball coach
story.
in Texas.
Yeah.
It is from 2002.
I like
The Rookie.
That man became Nolan Ryan.
That's right. Tarek Skubal.
I enjoyed the movie. It was a good movie. Mick, what did the critics think of
Disney, I don't know what that means for critics. It felt like it's more of a kidsy family movie, so they're not going to go too high on it. So I'll go 72.
I'm going to go 81.
I liked your thought process there, but I'm going to go 84.
84 on the dot.
No
Mother
way.
bleeper.
Did you give him 81?
Yeah, I got 81. I went 84.
He knows
I've been
balls.
I've been 3 off the last 2.
That's weird. You've seen a movie and you got it right.
I know. This is weird for me.
The fans, I'm going to say 89.
86.
83.
I was going to be so.
70.
Oh,
Oh, that'd have been
let's
hilarious.
Hey,
if I'd
I
have got
forgot
that.
it. Yes.
I
was
wanted
going to
that
say
one
if it was
bad.
86. I was going to yell. I'm going to yell. All right, we got 2 movies left. The score is 3.5 for Sterling, 3 for Michael, 2.5 for me, 2 for Mick Schaefer. It's a close one.
Yeah. So I didn't like the Springsteen movie. Loved this movie. It's out on Netflix. It stars Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Oh, I liked
it's
it,
a heist movie, The Rip. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I liked it, yeah.
The Rip, 2026.
All right, so the critics, I don't know. I'm trying to think if they like those fellas or not. I'm going to say The Rip is 81.
Rip it. 84.
Oh, wow.
78.
Oh, thanks, guys.
79.
Nice.
You're close.
my
You got
God.
them right. You got them all right
I
in the
was
ballpark.
I was like 79.
You took them to the
80,
dance.
81.
And they ditched you.
And they left you for a
Darn it.
more handsome man.
That happens. That's boy. If I had $1, I'd have a dollar.
Yeah.
Sterling.
Might give you 99.
Yeah, 81.
This is for the popcorn meter. Okay. Yeah.
I've never heard of it. I'm going to say,
Have you heard of those actors?
yeah.
Matt Damon.
I'm
okay.
going to say 72.
You went 81.
Yeah.
72. 69.
65.
Wow, okay. We got us a game here. There's 2 movies left.
Are there?
Yeah, you and me.
Oh wow, yeah. So Michael Darcy has 4. Sterling and I both have 3.5, and Mick Schaefer has 2.
This is a barn burner.
All right, so this is one you guys
on
have
the nose.
never heard of. 4 Jamaican bobsledders dream of competing in the Winter Olympics despite never having seen snow. With the help of a disgraced former champion desperate to redeem himself, played by John Candy, the Jamaicans set out to become worthy of Olympic selection and go all out for glory. It is Cooler Runnings. Feel the rhythm. Feel the ride. Get it up. Bobsled time.
This is tough. I don't know how the critics were going to view this movie. It was a very fun movie.
Oh, I loved it. It's a great
very
movie.
fun movie.
It's a great movie.
81%.
I don't think critics like comedy movies. I mean, you said 81?
Yeah. I don't feel good about it anymore.
I'm going to say, I got to say 78.
75.
75 on the dot. Mick Schaefer, 75.
Back. Who's in the game now?
Yes.
Who's welcome to
4
the game?
to 4 to
Welcome
3.5 to 3.5.
Welcome in, Mick.
Thank you.
It's the
Appreciate
best
it.
game. There are
What have
3
you guys been
points.
doing?
There
You
are
having
3
a good time
points.
at the game?
Anywhere from 3 to 6 points are available if we get within the 25-point range. All right, that means Michael, you are on the fan side on the popcorn. What is it going to be?
87.
84.
Do I do it? 81.
81% Sterling. It
No
gets the point.
way!
2 points.
I was
no
close to saying 82. just to
freaking
put-
way.
You gotta be
He
kidding
said
me.
87, and I'm like, here we go again. No way they do that.
I did it twice on that movie.
Yes.
No, bobsledding.
5.5 for Sterling, 4 for Mick, 4 for Michael, 3.5 for me.
Well, I can't get any points left. That was my last point. I had
That's
to get
true.
that. That
yeah.
was
You have 5 or
huge.
5.5.
5.5.
I got to sweep this.
I've got to get both of these just to tie Sterling. Or
we count
there's
every-
4 points
every half.
available.
This one, another thing the Chiefs need. They need pressure. They need to get pressure on the quarterback. But there's no movie called Sacks.
Theirs goes, ours goes.
So this movie is called
Sex.
Pressure.
Oh.
Ding, 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 ding.
From 2015, several men become trapped in a small pod underwater after they become separated from a ship.
Okay.
Pressure.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep. Ding, 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 ding.
Darcy.
Theirs goes.
Is anybody in this movie?
There are people in it.
There are people in the pod, at least.
Matthew Good. Joe Cole.
Unless they were looking for the Titanic.
42%.
So cool. I'm going to do Something along those lines. 32%.
51.
Darcy, 38.
Oh man, why
I should have gone with old reliable. I
Would
love
you say
38.
42?
Yeah.
I should have just taken it down to 39.
But you didn't.
I didn't.
And Darcy gets a point.
5.5 to 5 to 4 to 3.5.
Cannot
Mick?
let Darcy get this. If
Yeah,
Darcy
last
gets
point.
it, he's going to win. This is a
I have to get it on the
barn
dot
burner.
just
Yeah,
to
this is
tie
fun.
Sterling.
This is electric.
5.5 to 5 to 4 to 3.5.
I'll go 25%.
22.
24%.
Oh!
That's a one. One only.
That means it's 5.5 to 5 to 5 to 3.5. Sterling wins by a half point.
Wow. That was the best game we have ever played of Rotten Tomatoes. I
my
have so many people I need to thank.
I think it's smaller than that.
And to thank Soren Petro, my mom, my dad, Curtis Seabolt, Michael Darcy,
You think
Kyle Collier.
You think Seren before your parents?
I potted the wrong mic up, so I
Yeah.
was still like, why can't I hear Sterling?
Yeah.
Well, then you didn't pot the wrong mic up. I think you did it correctly, actually.
So many people to thank.
Yes.
The play-in music is actually playing you out.
Is that like
it's weird.
the Kane?
That's
Right. The combine invites went out. Mick, you were looking through those in the break. Combine invites out. Missouri has 7. K-State has a couple. KU has a couple. And then some local kids. Rockhurst's own Cassius Howe. We knew he was going to get the invite because he's a first-round draft pick and played at A&M last couple of years.
Great job by Matt McMullen of the Kansas City Chiefs. He unearthed a lot of KC area high school kids
job,
on
Matt.
that list.
I love when other people do the work for me.
Yep. You
it's
remember
great.
Malik Benson, right? He finished at Oregon, was it Alabama and Hutch before that? He's from Lansing. You got guys like Dominique Orange from North Kansas City.
Yeah.
Huge fan of Matt McMullen. We went to Blue Valley North together and Mizzou.
Look at that.
And we actually have a picture pop up on my
You brush your hair the same, too.
my
cool.
you know, like your Facebook memories or something like that. And it was actually we were in the same group for prom one year.
But you didn't know it?
Well, yeah, I knew.
Okay,
I
you
just
know
didn't. I didn't remember. I mean, it's I don't know, 14 years ago.
Another offensive lineman from the area that got out of the area went to Iowa. Shocker. And Bo Stevens.
Sam Hecht from K-State.
Oh, yeah.
Via
Yep.
Mill Valley.
There you go. Where?
Go Jags.
Jacksonville. He's from Jacksonville?
That's it.
Mick Schaefer
yeah.
from nearly Oklahoma.
Nearly.
Nearly Oklahoma. I like that. Was that the name of the town? It was called Nearly at one point.
Nearly Oklahoma, yeah.
But then it would have been Nearly Kansas. It's odd.